Okay, welcome to our next D&D game of Mystara, where we're up to session number 139, Phase 3, Season 2, Episode 25. And they're up to the 26th day of the 7th month of the year 1011. At our table today, we have Kesley.
Hello, I am playing Kupo Lani Alkai, goes by Lani, holder of many titles. Kai, human fighter, weapons master, holder, again, of all the titles. That might be the title in itself. And,
there is one that involves titles.
Yeah. So, that's me. I'm apparently the coolest, according to somewhere written on the wall. So, that's how that goes.
Or you go back in time and graffiti things.
Yes. Exactly. Apparently. That's what I do. I'm a fan of it.
Yes. Look, a 3,000-year-old inscription in your handwriting.
And it says, highway.
and then you read it and it says, look behind you. Oh.
No. No. Dodge sideways and look behind me. I know that.
It will just be another one that says, hi.
Hey, I'd expect Lani to troll herself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I have.
Well, you have done, yeah.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things you put up that were aimed at you.
Exactly.
Which then brings us to Paul.
Who is Claw, clan leader, noble, also prince, wielder of a sword he can't show anyone, healer, diplomat, pretty boy, and artillery piece.
And joining us online is Jeremy, who... Let's see if his audio is working.
Or maybe he is.
It is, we just heard you. We have voice.
There is audio. Yes.
The volume seems to be pretty good for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it a bit more. Yes, I'm playing Tlankema, the Atruaghin Timestone of who has been blessed by both Atruaghin and the Great One to help lead the Atruaghin boys find them all together as the Prime Keeping Chiefs, and including the Dragon Tribe for whom he has been adjusted to allow him to better represent the Dragon Tribe amongst the shape-shifting Atruaghin people. And yes, otherwise, generally likes to sit in the background unless he's forced to come forward, i.e. being the role of Clan Chief of Chiefs.
Woohoo!
Hey, just so he has more clans now than he expected.
Yeah. A few.
The apparent goal of trying to get all the clans to work together, he's been telling him by the addition of more clans.
And also joining us tonight is Calcrix.
Powered today by Spyro.
Woo!
Well, technically powered by ADHD. And maybe Spyro on occasion. This is Calcrix.
Mm-hmm.
The white dragon type, who is actually now silver with black and kind of a metallic sapphire colour. And the Jazz Wings. Her introduction's starting to get too long for all of that. I think she's just going to have to come up with something like Calcrix the Wise. But more like Calcrix the ADHD'd. Calcrix the Caffeinated. There you go.
Calcrix the Ever Curious.
I think the caffeinated is probably
The
actually
cafe
going.
is pretty good.
Calcrix,
Makes sense.
Empress of the Coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, she kind of likes Empress, but at the same time, she still really wants to emphasize the coffee.
Yes.
She's accompanied by her familiar and friend, dark fade plant-like creature called Eep, who has moved beyond saying death to the infidel in a teeny tiny cute voice to Calcrix Fix, which Calcrix is thrilled about because that includes her name. After 5 years, Eep can finally say her name. She's a little bit worried about the expectation that comes with the fix part, because although she kind of knows she's more adult than a lot of people that she actually spends time with, she's not quite a real adult just yet.
Just
Adult problems on a juvenile body.
yes.
Well,
It'll be fine
it was
100%.
suggested on in the Friday group that maybe it's time for her to go through the adolescence, which means mood swings, tantrums,
Rebellion.
at least one mandatory emo period.
Didn't we start that when you took on the black aspect?
Isn't that,
Yeah, I'm starting to think, well, maybe she's already done that.
isn't that stuff just for mammals? You can play with it though.
Yeah, look,
Well, she's learning from mammals.
to
true.
be honest, she
Oh,
thinks that
She's been raised by animals.
if anything, her adolescent period should be represented by her gaining the fire element to her color combination, because that seems to fit with the whole
I feel like
thing.
that's accurate.
But she's hanging out with the Earth people on Friday, so that tends to be kind of more where she's going to end up going. So maybe she skipped the adolescence bit for now, and she's just going straight for the grounded, earthy side of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me. Do you guys want hot chocolates at all?
Sure, yes, thank you.
Just to clarify, we are going to 12, not to 13.
We are 12,
You
We are 12.
going to 13.
Have we got to 13?
Not yet.
Okay, cool.
No,
just making sure.
we're
'cause
we're halfway through
I
12.
was looking at
Updates.
character sheet version.
Which this is the longest we've played at a level.
Yeah. Like more
Well,
than a year.
Let's see.
Which is pretty good.
Looking at it, so we're at 25 sessions. The longest we've actually played in this group is 20. 20 sessions, and that was the introduction and season 1 of this phase.
Yeah.
So both of them on 20 sessions.
Wow.
So the first 20 sessions was levels 1 to 4.
Yep. But my
Really?
level 12,
Mm-hmm.
the date I've got that file was created was
27th of February.
4 weeks ago last year.
Yeah.
Well, I got 12th of March as the day we officially started level 12, so hopefully you made it somewhere around there.
It's
Roughly around that.
That's like the session after it.
Mm-hmm. Because it was the 17th of February was the last session of level 11.
Yeah.
I have all those dates on my splash screen for the videos.
Ooh,
That was good.
And the introductory screen for this video also now states the dates of each level.
Yes.
Just because it was an interesting thing to show how long the game's been playing and how many sessions between levels.
Yeah.
Like, I talked to my friends about the game, and they're always like, wow, it's been playing for so long, how do you get new people to start? I'm just like, it's actually really fun creating a higher level character and then just jumping in.
It takes a while.
Takes a while, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And the characters become more interesting than just, oh, I've got one action I can do.
I got this one
Yes.
thing I can do.
And I keep doing this one thing. It's like I'm spamming one action on World of Warcraft.
Whereas I just choose to do that.
It's okay when we
You
do
pick a weapon and go stonk with it.
We will be doing a bigger update on your character soon to include all the weapon mastery stuff as
Yeah.
well as the
that will
combat
be
maneuvers.
Because some of the combat maneuvers you can potentially do are immensely fun.
I
Like
have
whack
an
it, knock someone over
entire
there.
card set of combat maneuvers because
Oh,
they're,
nice.
this is 12 of the combat maneuver sets,
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
and there's more than 12.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So you can have all the cards in front of you so you can remind yourself what you've got.
Exactly. Because
Like-
I'm definitely a visual person.
It's like a cast having spell,
Mhm.
which is the idea.
Hmm.
And there will also be elemental aspects as well, so she can take
Yeah.
on
Which would make sense.
either spells or
Yeah.
elemental techniques,
Hmm.
Yeah.
which
By the
they all
way,
work together.
did you remember what spell it is that's used for updating elemental affinities?
There is one on the blog. I think it's absorb elements.
Something like, or alter elements or something. I'd have to look up your blog.
I can quickly look while we're.
Well, you know
talking.
where to look far better than I do.
Well, I have a search function on there, which is fantastic.
Yes. I'm so used to going to game sites where it's always the same error message. You go to a game site, you go, oh, they've got this blog and it's all this good stuff.
Hmm.
And you use the search function and it says, this function is not presently accessible.
Hmm.
And on a couple of them, it's been like that for a decade.
Hmm.
They just don't want to use it, or the blog owner doesn't want to pay for it to be turned on, which is possible.
Okay, there's another one.
But
There'll be another one. I'll look it up when I actually remember what it is.
okay.
But the idea, I will be adding in a custom search, so you can type in a phrase and it will find every object connected to that.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
Nice.
Because I can do that. I
Yeah.
know how.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I haven't done it yet because I basically haven't had all the content to search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From magic items, can you filter to exclude certain things and or include things, or is it just sort of?
If I was to do a search, you could technically say what you're searching. I could even give you tick boxes to say search this content.
Yeah. If it's not too hard, having a search for things like, well, particularly given the limitations on attunement that all present versions of D&D have, different ones necessarily, but being able to go search non-attunement item.
Well, everything has a non-attuned
Non-cursed.
power. And if you're not attuned, you're not cursed.
Yes.
So if you take a cursed item...
But items that give you full capability without requiring attunement.
There will not be an item like that in the game.
Right.
He knows how you operate. I'm just kidding.
I've intentionally given everything an attuned aspect, as well as everything that's attuned only a non-attuned aspect.
Mm.
So every item in the game can be used non-attuned, attuned, enhanced with secret crafts.
Yes. So,
I think it'd be really funny if Lonnie had a magic item that she just had unattuned that she would just use all the time, and all of a sudden Wells be like, "What do you have there?" And I'm just like, I don't know, it's a cool stick.
yes.
I think it'd be really funny.
But if you attune it, you can do this with it.
No, I like a stick.
A lot of them are, if someone else attunes it, it's better for them than it is for the character who's got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was also partly intentional.
So,
Yeah.
as I missed last session,
Would you like to recap?
I would like a recap.
Okay, so last session they woke up, Drazzle was not doing so well.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
yes, he was.
And they found out the reason why Drazzle was not doing so well. He had to roll back time over 30 times to the moment where the librarian was asked his last question.
Yeah. And some of them took a few years
Or centuries.
or bloody long time to get to the point where he realised, I've got to roll back now.
Oh, wow.
So that 30 odd may potentially have been a millennium of his own personal time, which he did as a continuous run.
Because getting the question right was important.
Yes.
Not just the answer, but the question had to be right.
Because
If he didn't ask the question, it went bad.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he had to show up and he had to ask the right question in
So-
order to get that response.
Yes.
That we're
And-
hoping
And
this is the
everything-
right timeline.
And everything goes badly if he doesn't. So now Drazel is time sick.
Mm.
And it's also a degree of worseness. So he picked the one that had the least mistakes as far as he can tell.
Yeah.
Aw. Drazel, I'll try to learn more time stuff so you don't have to do this alone.
And he hasn't been communicating
That's what you've
since
been
that
doing.
point.
That's what I've been doing, is trying to learn how to try to help so that Drazel doesn't get as sick.
And this time you didn't actually see what he did
With your
because
permission,
you weren't around when he
On
was doing it.
Friday,
Yeah.
I would like Cheval to get an invisible scuff up the back of the head, and that would be Lani passing on the message from, I think, Drachnamor or Dimitri, saying, do a better job, stop making Drazel go back in time.
I'm gonna say yes to this. I don't know
That
this
would
character.
be
I don't know this character. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm fully on board.
And so the group went to speak to the King of Wendar, all prepared for another really horrible time of tedium, boredom, and pointlessness, and instead met the Queen,
Yes, who was far more interesting.
who is more of a Lani than anything else, in the sense of she's a the equivalent of the elven action hero to the observer of the king.
Okay.
But she did point out that the king is someone who has great foresight and planning and can literally set up something to happen centuries in advance.
Yes, but he's the one with ADHD.
And she's the one who basically makes the day-to-day stuff happen.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. She's the executive function. He's the analyst. But ADHD and OCD, which is why all the trees are in straight frigging lines.
Perfectly planted and grown.
It's not a forest, it's a garden.
it's a
And
grove.
it's not actually a very good one either. Well, groves are generally naturally grown. It's controlled and modified. But
Orchard.
And
Orchards
each tree is
all like
precisely
lines.
the same number of steps apart.
I
yeah,
hate that
Calcrix
song.
did
what-
make a point to everyone that even though this pedantry does drive lots of people nuts, his people have never starved,
Yep.
they've always had shelter,
Oh, yeah.
and they are safe.
he is really, really effective.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look very natural.
Yeah.
His people are happy. They're
Which is
great.
fine.
They
for
do
them.
really well.
And they are very protective of him because he
Yeah.
has been their only king.
For a
centuries.
long time.
He has outlived a elf's lifetime.
Yeah.
So he's way past 1,000
Yeah, he's ridiculously old for an elf.
then.
But he looks to be in his young elven period.
Really interesting.
Yes.
And so, talking with the Queen basically gave them the rundown that they should really do, and that was to try to get and put an end to the hostilities.
Yep.
Not sure if the gemstone's actually there. That was not the important part.
No.
The important part was stopping the war. Whereas the king's really hyper-focused on the gemstone because he doesn't really deal with change very well.
Yes. Although another thing we found was the gemstone is actually a bad thing because it's good for what the king was using it for. However, it draws its power from their tree of life and enough to affect it.
Enough to leave the trees of Wendar dormant for
Yeah.
the period that it's been used.
Yeah. as in they're not acting as life trees, because he's using all that power through the stone.
Which means someone created a relic that feeds on other relics.
Yeah.
That sounds like a vampire.
That sounds like something an immortal would do to become an immortal. Or possibly to become a more powerful immortal.
Well, it may be a attempt at immortality.
Yeah. Well.
And the fact
It
that
would actually work if if you're using its life power to extend yourself, the way the king functionally has been doing, but you do it deliberately, then yes, it would, as long as the life trees existed.
And the knowledge of the various groups was that these crystals were created by the vampire lord of Karamikos, otherwise known as Dracula, who is Dimitri's ancestor.
Oh, fun.
In the sense of he's also Halab's ancestor. The god.
Interesting.
He is older than some of the gods of the setting.
Yeah.
And there's no idea if he was made a vampire, chose to be a vampire, or always was one.
The way these settings work, it's quite possible the second and third of those are both correct.
Or all three of them. Because, hey, time shifts can really mess with things.
That's true.
Yeah.
As you've seen Druzzle do on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
So, they then took to the road to head north, using the Elven path, which was making travel so much easier for them. Mainly because they didn't really need to stop. Because the Elven path literally can sustain you while you're running on it.
Yep.
Oh, makes sense.
Another life effect from the stone.
Thank you.
And also part of the Elven magic of the forest.
Yeah.
Because it's all done in such ways. The road was perfectly straight.
Yes.
Heading,
Particularly if you're on it.
heading north, without a bend, a deviation, or a bump.
I.e., this was designed by someone with OCD.
This is not maintained by a government's Department of Transportation. This is a private road.
Well, private roads go all over the place.
Thing.
Lani friendly. Paul friendly.
Oh,
Are you okay?
is this a...
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask. It's a full sugar Oreo. It's an Oreo egg though, so I thought maybe you might give yourself an exception.
It's still...
It is full sugar though. I could not find a half sugar one. I can give you just normal diet peppermint though.
Diet peppermint would actually work better. Would you like this?
Yes.
That solved that problem.
I just wanted
Double
to give
Oreos.
because occasionally you're like, yes, I'd like to try one of those.
Yeah.
So travelling along the road, they were passing the communities and seeing that each tree had their own community in it. So while they were all separate apart, each tree was a dwelling or a village or a community. And the main elven pathways were in the treetops, not on the ground. But they don't go straight, and they require you to pass through all the communities and get permission before you can continue on. Whereas the one on the ground is a straight run, which can then be attacked from the trees above without any problems.
So it's a defense now.
Yeah, good defense stuff.
Okay.
And because the road gives everyone who uses it the same ability, whether they're a member or not, it means that they literally know whenever the enemy's using it.
Which did happen. They came towards us. We were approached.
And so they decided to go off the path and hide behind a tree.
Just for fun?
Because one did go in the tree, yes, but most of them hid behind the tree.
Yep.
We used the trees to hide variously
Why were you hiding?
because there were some bad guys on the road
Coming
who
your way?
stayed on the road, came our way, approached us, confronted us, and rather than attacking, we ended up having a duel.
Well, they issued a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, they challenged us and...
You didn't watch the episode and see...
No, she didn't.
No, I didn't.
She did apologise at the beginning of the
And
session.
it turns out that they work for a goddess known as the Lady of Vengeance.
So, it came down to initiative. Seika was first in initiative. Seika was ready for a fight, but Seika... Calgrix asked if she could speak first, because she was just going to ask, fight or we'll have a chat. And to Calgrix's complete surprise, they went, oh no, we're going to go challenge. Dragon challenge. Which meant she couldn't say no. So it ended up being a duel. Her against, fortunately not the huge guy on the horse. The huge guy on the huge horse looked like he could kick Calgrix's ass, I don't know, a fair way around the county and back again. But the guy that she faced was fairly high level.
So he assigned a minion of an equivalent character level. So he was actually a 14th level minion.
Yeah. At this stage, the party knows the Lady of Vengeance is related to Calgary? Or is that a
I think only
player knowledge?
I'll ask Martin. Does only Calgrix know the Lady of Vengeance is her sister?
I believe so. I don't believe you told anyone.
No.
Okay, so that's a player
well, no,
knowledge
I've
thing.
told everyone that she's a dragon. I haven't told her that she's my sister or Drazel's sister.
Okay.
We keep family connections quiet
Yeah.
until it's kind of like me.
Until it's relevant, yeah. So we just know.
Calgrix did mean to try and have a spot where she could say a prayer to the Great One, so she could go, my sister, do you know anything about her?
Yeah.
But the opportunity didn't quite come up.
Arise, yeah.
But it turned out after he gave me a few big hits, Calgrix ended up folding him in half. So the session ended with Calgrix very carefully unfolding this knight and passing him back to his leader and going, I'm sorry, you're flat now.
So it took her 2 rounds to do over 100 points of damage with Calcrix. And we figured out Calcrix had actually missed 6 of her dice for damage.
And because I gave True Sight to Lewel and Father Pat, I actually ended up dropping my hit points down by 90.
Oh, wow.
So I was down to half my hit points in a duel.
Yeah. Admittedly, you've still got the hit points from me.
Yeah.
But that's only another like 12.
Yeah.
But it's there.
But I think Martin said we misrolled the dice to reduce my hit points.
Yeah.
What was that?
Did we not roll enough dice to reduce my hit points?
No.
Or?
We did not roll enough dice to represent your amazing kick at the end.
Okay, so I kicked his ass harder than I thought I kicked it.
Yes.
So on average, considering it would have been, I think it was 68 or something like that, that would average in close to 30 points of damage that she could have done, meaning her one kick could have done close to 90.
The question now is can I feel my foot?
You can. And then I also should have added extra dice because she'd increased her size.
Yeah,
did she go up to
sized up.
large?
No, she went up to go gigantic.
So yeah, that would have been another dice there. So. Interesting.
So I owe Seika an initiative.
That's fair.
I believe Seika was very impressed by the dragon.
Going, hey, yeah!
No, actually doing the whole challenge. And then absolutely succeeding in the challenge to the point she was embarrassed that she won.
Well, I think, Martin, you informed us as players, not as characters, that it was the right move because the people that we challenged, because they are underneath the Lady of Vengeance, who is a dragon, they respect dragon culture very highly. So it was pretty much the best path to go down.
Yeah.
Was to have the dragon
Right.
kind
So,
of
Challenge.
put a
Yeah.
challenge out there and then meet that challenge.
right, so now
Yeah.
you're multi-class as monk, right?
Yeah, I'll go with that. I meditate on coffee.
Mm.
You can meditate with coffee, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
totally.
after that, we basically went to credits because the combat went quite late.
Yes.
I think we hit 11 o'clock at that point.
Mm.
That would have been 5 in the morning if I played from the States. So, yeah.
I know what that's like because Victor used to play on the
In the morning
Pathfinder
and from
games,
business.
and
Yeah.
that was how late
Yeah.
he was up till.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because you go from that into work.
That's just, he's crazy.
Yes.
Very, very dedicated, but couldn't keep it up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so after that, you can see that there is a couple of griffins flying above you with riders. There is a couple of ogres, hobgoblins, the leaders on a nightmare
Mm-hmm.
in rune-covered armor. And it gives you a sort of menace that only an actual threat could.
Mm.
So you said orcs? Wait, what?
He's got rune-covered armor.
What?
Yeah.
What kind of creatures? Sorry.
He hard to tell what sort of creature he is because he just gives an aura of menace.
Yeah. Best we can get is humanoid, but it's menace, not threat.
Mm.
Sorry, it's threat, not bluff,
Mm.
and it's quite obviously an honest threat. Mm.
And considering seeing how powerful his throwaway minion was,
Mm.
Yeah.
you would think he would be a fair challenge for Calcrix, let alone the party.
Mm.
As in, you'd be you'd be checking to see who lasts the longest as your result.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, he does, after Calcrix give back the body of his minion, suggest coffee.
Mm.
Yes. Caprix will pull out her coffee kit, her coffee craft, like the whole set. The ceremonial one that she pulls out for all the special people. And then she'll start putting together her unique branded coffee.
And you see that he has one of his minions also prepare a similar set.
Mm-hmm.
They have a similar set.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
Oh, okay. Is this the challenge continues?
Well, if you're providing coffee, he's probably also providing coffee.
Oh, well, she's happy to provide coffee for everyone. She just sizes up her coffee set. She's fed over 300 axe beaks, special coffee, at one time,
And survived.
and survived because it was special coffee, i.e. cinnamon milk, and not actual caffeine. Okay, so so when he says coffee, is that for her to just bake it for him, or is it sort of like a
That wasn't supposed
a
to.
dance?
He didn't specify. He
Okay.
basically has his minions start a whole flashy presentation of making coffee.
Oh, if that's the case, I'm adding jazz wings, which means I've got to get my dice, which shouldn't be too
You
hard.
should dice just here.
My dice should be here, just here.
There it is.
But I do have to get my.
You dice to the floor.
No, one of the chocolate blocks because there was 3 in there, and the top one wasn't connected to anything. So I went, "Ooh, let's see what's in here." Slide. Boop, boop.
While all this is happening, I'm assuming Lonnie is back. She'll say, "I've been here the whole time."
You've
Well,
been
I
here
believe you were
years
looking
ago.
after Drowsel during the
Which is-
last bit.
Which is fair.
So what skill would it would come under? A performance?
It would definitely be a performance.
Okay, cool. So that's charisma. Okay, so that's 11. Okay. I now have all my dice in one spot. Shiny.
And yes, people still panic looking at the flashy dice. Natural 20.
Just so that you can see, it's on a 20. Plus 11. Jazz wings.
Very nice.
Okay, so
21st up.
Oh,
I'm so pleased.
okay.
you do this. How does your performance eclipse everyone else's while you're doing this copy?
Well, for one, Calcrix is not just carefully setting out all of the different bits of equipment, grinding the beans and all that. She's sitting up and she's doing jazz wings at the same time. Plus, she's doing her and Eep have a coffee song that they sing in the morning. So they're both singing the coffee song, and Eep is helping her, and so she's kind of like almost a magician's assistant, where she's kind of like, this is the coffee here, this is it going in the grinding, ping, this is this happening here. And then when she gets to frothing the milk, it's a little bit like making a cocktail. Like gets it all up, spins it, puts it from one little carafe into another little carafe until it's just perfect in its creaminess. And then she adds it all up into a coffee cup and does the most detailed dragon coffee art she can come up with, and then passes it over to the guy in charge.
If you're doing that as dragon size, that means you're handing over something that's about this size, so you can get really detailed.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's he doesn't have to drink all of it.
She does have a very pointy claw, so you can literally do any style of
just because
the
it's
bubbles
not
are sort of fixed size, so there's only so much detail you can get in.
just so that it's not ridiculous. The cup is appropriate size to the people, but she's made enough coffee that Eep can start just growing extra vines out and handing coffee cups out all around to all the people around her.
I have had a coffee in a coffee shop that was this big. It was in a soup bowl.
I have a picture somewhere. I'll dig it up one day of Emmy. She's drinking out of Martin's Batman Stein.
Yeah.
It was 8
No, this was one of the cafe mugs, because they had coffee cups
They had big
with
ones.
saucers that were soup bowls.
Yeah, I've
So
been
they had a
to.
handle on it.
I've been to those. They they keep me going for a fair while.
Yeah. What amused me was they've had them for ages, and I was the first person to actually ever finish one of those coffees.
Oh yeah, no, I I'll show you one day. I drink out of Martin's Darth Vader bowl all the time.
Yeah. That's fair.
Well, I had my own coffee machine. I could make anyway. Back to the thing. So she'll give him a decent sized one. She'll hand out the others. She'll emit sparkly lights at the same time, so it looks like there's those little sort of dancing lights, but kind of more like sparkles, just going wafting around on the wind. But they're in Calcrix's colours, so silver, black, and blue, and so that's her.
A big flashy presentation.
Yeah, that's the flashiest she's ever got. She can do dignified, but they all pulled out coffee sets too. She felt that it was time to
Pull out the stops.
It was appropriate to do the flashy version.
Okay, so their version not quite as flashy as yours, but he does do the whole flip and mix as he's doing stuff. You think he's trying to do the equivalent of a cocktail with his coffee?
That's
That's
okay.
fair.
As long as it's made out of coffee, then
you can put other things in
she's
coffee.
good with that.
You can put other things in coffee.
Calrix doesn't drink.
And
She doesn't drink
cinnamon.
alcohol.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
nutmeg,
Yeah. She does
a
that.
bunch of other various spices.
I've actually got all of that in that kitchen just there.
Yeah.
If you ever want cinnamon.
then you've got a tea that has a citrus aroma
Oh, that would be nice.
with a sort of dark blend going through it.
And done something extra special with this coffee. Whereas mine just tastes like Calcrix's special blend, which Calcrix likes to describe as being a little bit like coffee and dark chocolate. And then a little bit of whatever your favourite flavour is.
This one sort of feels like or sort of tastes like a sort of. I'd probably go for an orange coffee.
Like a mandarin. Is it a pico?
Yep.
And
Pico's
has the silhouette of a dragon in flight on top of it.
Which is perfect. That's cool.
I
Which
also
is the
want
holy symbol of their god.
of their
Okay.
god. Yeah. I also want to add there's a cookie on every cup and saucer that goes out. There's a little chocolate chip cookie or something like that. But I'll take a look at the detail on this.
Not as detailed as yours, but
Oh.
it is.
I still don't want to drink it, so Calcrix is kind of like, I don't know how I can like sketch this. So Eep is now whipped out a little book and she's drawing a quick but very accurate sketch. So and Calcrix is like, perfect. I've got the moment captured.
Okay.
She doesn't want to forget this. And then she'll take a delicate sip of the coffee/tea.
Okay, it is quite nice and refreshing.
And she'll just simply, once all the flashiness is over, she'll just like sit there, so still you think that she's a statue. Well, she just takes in this coffee.
And they've also made some for everyone else if they wish to try it.
Definitely.
Eep is taking note of who eats cookies and who doesn't.
Each of them does.
Eep is just taking note. If anyone doesn't eat a cookie, Eep is just like,
Yeah, but you're
I'm taking a list of that one.
Well, that's the thing.
Gotta watch them.
You're making coffee that goes incredibly well with cookies. So it makes sense for them to basically be forced to eat one.
Yeah, we don't want to force them, but
Well, no,
Eep
but
and Calcrix want to know if any of
from-
them want to serve and Xantiop.
Given the presentation and what you're making, you're functionally forcing them to eat it because they get a lesser experience without it.
Yeah, they do go with it.
Yeah.
And you see them set up a chair for their leader who gets off his horse and sits down and says, but before Calcrix then says, as you won the challenge, he will grant you up to 5 questions depending on what you ask.
Calcrix is afraid to ask if she can introduce her party first because that might be counted as question 1. But that's the first thing that's going through her head.
You can make it not a question.
I wish to introduce my companions first. I feel that would be appropriate in this situation. She's going to resist saying if you have no objection. She's just going to kind of like look at him and see whether or not.
He bows and says, you may.
She will introduce Drachnama.
That's not visible.
Isn't he?
No, he's up a tree.
Oh, he's
He's
up
up
a
a
tree.
tree about at least 50 feet away.
Yeah.
So, because
Down further down the line.
Calcrix would normally introduce the other dragon, therefore her equal first. But if Drachnama does not want to be introduced, even though undoubtedly they know he's there, she'll go next to Luol. Because he's an elf and the dragonologist.
Yep.
So this is Luol. What's the one title you are happy to be publicly introduced as? I know it's not Shadow Lord.
Clan leader.
He's a renowned clan leader. And this is...
Okay, so he comments, the Shadow Elf. As in the Shadow Elf sort of statement.
It's not a very good secret at this stage, apparently.
It is
not amongst the dragons.
Well, not amongst
Oh,
the
it's just
dragons,
my
and
spell.
particularly not amongst
I'm good at dropping things.
certain people.
You didn't really get your cane.
Yeah.
Not just yet. I'm just resting. The chair is holding me up nicely. I will move next to Nadar, for she's the Dragonborn. And as Nadar's not actually here, I will move on to Lani. I'm guessing Seeker does not want to be seen if she doesn't have to be seen.
She's still hiding.
Yep, so I'll do Lani, and I'll leave Seeker and Draknema out unless the dragon guy across the way from me insists that, Lani. Master of the Tides amongst many other revered titles.
Yup.
Does he say anything to Lani?
He just looks and just nods in that direction.
Okay.
Yeah, he sort of has that look of recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just give him that.
You've been acknowledged.
I'll just give him that.
Yes.
A knowing nod that, yep, I recognize that you recognize me, so.
5 questions. And I don't get to consult with my group first.
He says consult away. And that's not a question.
Okay.
Oh, so that's good. He is being nice, at least.
Yeah.
Well, if you had lost to him, he wouldn't be nice, but you beat him fairly.
Yeah.
Without cheating, mind you.
Even better.
Unless Draknema wants to reveal himself, I presume he's not having much input into this.
Can you put up
I think he's keeping his head down right at the moment.
Okay.
For tactical
I'm
reasons.
just waiting to hear from Draknema himself.
When you shoot anyone notice.
Yeah, no, I think we're okay for the moment. Okay. So my first question is, alright, I'll start with what our goal is. My understanding, and this may not be accurate, because I've only had 2 perspectives given to me, and they are both from the other side. That Wendar are in conflict, and they would like to resolve it. And we've been given instruction by the Queen to resolve it as peaceably as we can, if we can. So my first question is this thing between us resolvable peaceably? And my second question is, would you please tell us your side of what's going on here?
He says, well, he will answer the second one first.
Sorry, I should have asked the first one, the second one first, but my brain.
His role here is as a forward scout for the Shadow Lord, providing intel on the current elven troop movements. And the fact that they can readily use their highway for transportation.
So they need to share the highway and the elven area.
No, the fact that they can use the elven highway is part of the scouting.
Okay, alright.
They just show that they can.
But I guess can Calcrix infer from that is one of the reasons they're fighting, is because they want to use that highway, and the elves don't want to let them use that highway, and so they're coming to conflict.
No, that doesn't have anything to do with the conflict at all. That's just part of why they're here.
Okay, all right.
Because why the armies are in conflict is completely different to why he's here right now.
Okay, because she was asking about their side of the whole conflict.
And he was responding from what he knows.
Okay, so he doesn't know anything beyond that.
I was trying to get to that.
Sorry.
I was trying to do it from the perspective of why he's there, because he's answering it literally, not figuratively.
Okay.
Sorry, just trying to get my head around where I was. And he says from the conflict, from what he knows is the King of the Elves has had disagreements with the Lady of Vengeance in the past. And she's held a grudge.
I can see why. 300 hours. I absolutely understand why.
And basically, I believe now that he has misplaced his stone, is let the door open.
Probably.
Yes. So he probably then does not know the answer to the question. Second/first question. which was, can this be peaceably resolved?
It says quite possibly, but he does not know the resolution. As the Shadow Lord is fairly amenable to new ideas.
If he's amenable to new ideas, can you escort us or direct us with some kind of message to so that we can get in conference with this Shadow Lord?
He thinks for a moment and goes, he could, but it may not be honoured by many of the forces unless they are part of the dragon ranks. Only those of following the draconic code will honour anything he states.
Calcrix turns to Lani and Luel, who are with her, says, what about if we stay camped here and send a message to the Shadow Lord to see if the Shadow Lord will either invite us in or come to us or send some sort of representative? Would that be a good idea?
I think that's possibly fair, because, like, if...
Well, that means we don't have to... These guys obviously have their job to do. They can't go and escort us all the way to wherever we go.
Yeah.
They can't just drop everything. And we have to respect that, even if that means they might end up being in conflict with some elves somewhere along the way. But at the moment, since they're honouring the bargain here, if we use one of our questions to ask if we're allowed to stay and if we can send a message, then camping here until we get that response might be the quickest way to resolve this.
Because realistically, we need to at least have some sort of dialogue with the...
Don't get me wrong, we
Shadow
could
Lord.
fight it out all the way to the Shadow Lord, but
It'd be easier to just ask.
it'd be more peaceable and more in line with our goals and aims to just ask, yes, I think.
Now, if that answer becomes no, we then still have to find a way there.
He
It's
does
fine,
say
but let's
that
ask first.
Yes.
he does say that the symbol of the red wyvern is the symbol of the Shadow Lord, so you will recognise it when you see
The
it.
red
Right.
wyvern. Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sister will be a wyvern, won't she?
Yeah, she would be.
What's she like? No, she doesn't ask that. She really wants to ask what she's like. She's my sister. Hello.
So, this girl, she seems interesting. You want to tell me more about her?
Yeah. So I will ask the question of, we've been discussing this openly and transparently. As you've just heard, I've just asked my colleagues whether or not we could send, you'd be willing to send a message to your Shadow Lord to either allow us to go and see him or come to see us, and whether or not we'd be welcome to camp here without interacting with your peoples. Just peaceably wait until we get a response and go from there.
He says yes, he can contact his representative in the Shadow Lord's court. He cannot guarantee a response
Of course.
because most of the time they don't actually respond to him.
Of course. Can I give you my own seal for which to pass on your message with?
He can do so.
Calcrix will then ask Eat to produce her seal, and she will pull out a parchment and make a seal with Calcrix's personal seal.
And I believe that was 5 questions in total.
Yes,
was.
that is the 5 questions.
Yeah.
Was he happy for us to camp in this roughly this area?
He says it's still technically within the elven borders.
Okay.
He has no control over it, though he doesn't recommend trying to get back on the path.
Yes, we would probably sit on
Once you
camp.
step off the path, you cannot enter it again for 24 hours, he says.
We cannot enter what?
The path.
The elven path.
The roadway.
Okay.
We've got to stay
Right.
off the road for a day.
Right, so if we stay on the path, we're okay?
If you stay on the path, you don't have to rest.
Okay, cool. Alright.
Mm.
And we're off the path right now?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have to wait another 20 hours before we can get back on it?
He says, well, considering you just got off it, you still have another 23 and a half hours.
Okay. So we've got to wait 23 and a half hours before we get back
Yes.
on the path. Okay.
It's
We
24 hours
got
from
off
you.
the path because these guys approached us.
Okay, alright.
And
So
they got off the
did
path as
any
well.
of us stay on the path?
No.
No.
Okay.
Not a
alright.
single person did.
Okay. Well,
And even if we did,
It's
that
good to know.
the other people couldn't go too. So like,
might be time for a certain person's tower
and that's just
and
the,
a long rest.
that's just how the power of the path works.
Is
Yep.
also a deterrent.
Yep. No,
Makes
that's
sense.
So if you step off
Fine,
the path to
then
look at
the
something, you are then stuck there for a day.
So they are not for roadside attractions, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
No big banana,
No.
no big merino.
It's also
You could do it. You just have to just look at them.
it suits the king's personality of you go to your destination and don't stop in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cowcrix will just like
This
roll her
guy.
eyes upwards and go, he keeps these people fed, he
Mhm.
keeps them protected.
This guy is not for the journey. He is only for the destination.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
He's not a good road trip partner.
I don't have to like spending
That's
time
what
with
his
him
wife's
for
for.
him to be a good person.
Yep. His wife's good people. She's
His
good enough
his
for both
wife
of
is
them.
very good people.
Yeah, she's good enough for both of them.
Okay, so he does say that if you find yourself to the settlement of Geron, you may find a representative able to speak to the Shadow Lord directly.
Okay.
Hmm.
Does it count as question number 6 if I ask which way is that city?
West to the north,
Okay.
in
cool.
Denagath. It should be the only major settlement of Denagath.
Okay. I gather we have to travel off the path if we want to start earlier than 23 and a half hours more. Okay, but we could follow alongside the path, just not on it.
It says the further you travel off the path, the less you can see the path.
So it's might be better just to wait.
It's designed to hide itself from those who walk the forest.
Calcrix looks deep. Remind me not to slap the king next time I see him, because it is diplomatically incorrect to do.
You can think it hard though.
Oh yeah, I'm going to think it really hard. Thinking it hard right now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm thinking it so hard that he feels like his head's been slapped wherever he is right now. And if he's sleeping, he wakes up from it.
Simple illusion of you slapping the king.
Doesn't he read minds?
He does.
Yes.
Calcrix is in so much trouble.
Yes, you are.
Not really, your thoughts are protected. You have
Oh yeah, that's right. No, I've got
Yes.
my ring of mind shielding, which,
Yeah.
which meant I had to dump like half a dozen spells, but I've added a bunch of new ones. Some from Eep, some from
Yeah.
Druids.
So it turns out you can use detect thoughts as long as you're not trying to have other people read yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, you could. It works outwards, but not in.
Not
So
in
if you were to do the telepathic bond, you can get everyone else's thoughts, but they can't get yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would
Which is
drive
just rude.
Calcrix mad because she's like, but I want to talk back. I always do all the talking. I
Yes.
do it at least 150 miles per hour.
So you need a highly advanced version of it, which protects you from attack, but not from contact.
Mm.
And I believe you can intentionally project your thoughts out with the ring of mind shielding. You just have to actively choose to do so.
Yes.
Oh well, you know,
From
there's a
memory
whole
aid.
bunch of creatures in there. They're just gonna get Calcrix's. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, which means like
Let me have a
non-stop
look.
for the next 12 hours.
Head item.
Okay, so he does seem to be getting his troops to perform some sort of camp setup of their own.
Yep.
Yeah.
Considering you have no idea how long they've been travelling.
Since we've got to wait here, don't suppose we could camp next to each other and I could ask you a whole bunch of other questions not related to what you do, but just because I'm a curious dragon and I like to talk. I'd even tell you stories.
He says he first has to contact his superiors.
Absolutely. But as long as they don't mind us camping somewhere nearabouts. We've got to sit here anyway.
Well, it also helps the majority of the people here are quite afraid of the dragon who kicked one of their leaders in half.
Yeah.
The other side of it is that if we're camped not too far from them, we can observe them, and there's an awful lot of intelligence you can get just from observing a group.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Where's that?
Okay, so
Father Pat has a lot of good skills to do with like picking up gossip, getting people to talk, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So,
True.
He
technically,
does-
if he was here,
Yeah, he does Ahmed Bard impressions.
yeah.
Yeah.
Talky Paladin. Herald.
Yeah.
We don't have to absolutely camp here, but Calcrix will definitely.
I think
hang
something where our
closer.
sneaky compatriots can have slight
You-
privacy, but like still where we can have an
Dractum is
eye on
going to
these
stay up
guys.
in the trees and watch these guys,
Yeah.
and he's gonna perception the hell out of them.
That's the skill. Perception the hell out of
It's
it.
a perceptionify.
Yeah, that's how Calcrix thinks of it.
Yes.
She's like, he does his thing. I don't know what his thing is, but he knows everything afterwards.
He's real good at looking at things.
Yes.
He's monitoring the situation with a passive perception of 32.
So
Exactly.
there you go.
so he's a good looker.
Calcrix's passive
very good-
perception is 21.
And listener.
Yes.
So, you know.
And
Yeah.
yet he's still single.
Well, Calcrix knows why he's single, alright.
No, not single.
Yeah, no, I mean that was an
No, he's married to the cause.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's married to a beauteous young lady from the Tiger Tribe.
Ah, there you go.
That he never talks about, we never see.
Partly because, well, he had to make concessions.
He can state marriage, designed for political reasons.
I was gonna say, being married to a Tiger Clan member, that's interesting.
I was gonna say, that,
Coming from Elk Clan.
that sounds like a political
That's a
thing,
political marriage.
Yes, it
Not
is.
an arrangement of choice.
Because technically, it's believed that the Tiger Clan serve at Xantiotl
Yeah.
Yes.
through one of Xantiotl's minions, Danel.
I think was an important part of starting to bring the plans together.
Okay.
I'm
So
sure she's
as Draknamar is watching, he can tell that they are performing various rituals of warding before the leader seems to go into a communion which you can't hear or observe. Which is understandable. It's something you guys would do as well.
Yes.
And the thing being that the warding has actually effectively blocked sound on site, or is it just...
It blocks both sound and sight.
After that.
And a magical scrying such as True Sight.
Yeah.
Basically just makes True Sight see a black wall.
Okay.
Which means it would actually obscure what you could normally see. So there are quite a few spells that actually counter True Sight.
Yes.
Makes, like, in this world, it would make sense. Because, like, if everybody had true sight, you couldn't have any secrets. So.
And there are certain spells that make things invisible to people with True Sight.
Yeah.
They just don't exist. You can't even see the person.
Yeah. Like, with the years and years of magical development, it would make sense. It would make no sense to not have those spells.
Exactly.
And if you have the right setup of spells, you can't even legend wall someone.
Yep.
Because they're completely invisible to all forms of divination.
Yeah. That takes some serious work, though.
No, it doesn't.
No?
It's not a high level spell.
Okay.
So I think you just need to be able to cast 4th to 5th level spells to hide from divination.
Okay.
Or for a Bible quote.
Yeah.
Okay, so that seems to go on for about an hour. What are you guys doing while that's happening?
Setting up our camp, making sure that
Yeah.
Seika has a nice spot in the shadows to chill. That if Dracula wants to come down, he has a safe spot that he can still hide himself. But if he wants to stay in the tree, he can stay in the tree. I guess not just only focusing on the obvious in front of us, just also checking perimeter. Not just for them and their group, for any other interactions.
Yeah.
Hostile elves that may be going for an attack, that kind of deal.
There are the 2 flying riders
Above.
scouting above for the other team.
Yeah.
You think the elves have kept themselves hidden because, hey, there are 2 forces down below and they don't recognize either.
Yeah.
And, hey, if there's a gigantic dragon that's shrunk down to huge size, they still don't want to get on the bad side of that.
Exactly.
Well, that's fair.
Well, having witnessed the dragon attack...
Just go black.
Yeah.
They probably don't want to mess with the dragon.
Well, did a whole flame breath and then did a kick. And technically could have flame breathed on the same round.
Yeah. She wasn't messing about.
Because basically when she casts a greater dragon breath, it's for an entire minute she can recharge her breath weapon if she's lucky and keep using it for 10 rounds.
Oh, that's cool.
Otherwise she can only use her breath weapon once per short rest.
Yeah.
And she's already used it, it insta recharges it.
Yeah. It's ridiculously powerful.
That's awesome.
And of course it's entirely valid for a PC dragon.
Absolutely.
And for NPC dragons. It's how they do their flame attacks.
All
Stretch.
Yeah.
Instead of just one, okay, I'll go off and rest and come back. And another one, I go off and rest.
Yeah. That's actually something that I wasn't used to when I first saw 5th Ed stuff. Because I got used to either it uses it, then you roll like a d4 to see when it can use it again.
Or you check to see if it gets a 5 or a 6 on a d6 to see if it's recharged.
Yeah, in 4th edition. Yeah, which I quite like because it means that the GM can't plan.
And so the Greater Dragon Breath, or is this now just Dragon Breath at the moment, gives the every round on a 5 or 6 on a d6 it recharges.
Yeah.
So you can't guarantee you're going to get it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
But
great.
you've got a third of a chance every round of it being recharged.
Yeah.
So basically it turns on the 4th edition rule for its duration. Yeah. As I said, from a GM's point of view, it makes it more interesting for the GM because you can't plan for what the dragon might be doing with its breath weapon because you don't know if it's going to happen until the round starts.
Yeah.
Because you don't roll to see if that activates
Until it's
and it's going to your turn.
Quickly duck to the toilet where you think what you're going to do next.
Because the older rule was you roll a d4,
Yeah.
the GM knows how long away the next breath weapon is.
And then it would be able to plan for it, like
And
position. Yeah.
Position, whatever.
Yeah. No, I
But
like.
this is
I like the more
yeah.
even for the GM. I like it.
It's
to
more
be a little bit more
spontaneous.
spontaneous.
Yeah.
Makes it an
Of course, there's possibly the argument as well. The dragon would know when, hang on, yeah, I can feel the caskets rebuilding. So.
Not necessarily.
True.
I would say in combat it's really hard to tell. So the dragon knows this at the same time as the GM does. They all make sense one way or another. I like being able to use that because I've been
As a game system, I suppose.
As a game system.
As a game system.
The default, okay.
Yeah, I've been running 4th edition for a long, long time because I prefer it. And things like that is one of the reasons I do prefer it.
I think you're probably one of the first people I've met that prefers 4th edition. But then again, I don't meet a lot of people who play D&D, so there's that.
I looked at 5th edition and went,
Not for you.
It was too much of a, we don't feel like supporting balanced gameplay and a couple of other things, and we're going back to 3.5 with Go Faster straps on.
Right, actually, it feels like they decided, let's grab some rules from all editions and randomly roll them together.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, strictly what they did though was they got, let's get 4th edition and get the character creation and advancement system from 3.5 and mash them together.
That's a hammering tool. It looks like it works.
That is pretty well exactly
That's
what
why
they
we're now on this
Yeah.
edition.
That is pretty well exactly what they did. Because 5th edition users, the base rules it uses are basically 4th edition.
We just
You scared to rush.
Yeah, I guess we're just kind of setting up camp, keeping an eye out on all sides for not just these guys, but any other thing. And I guess at this stage, we're just kind of waiting out the 23 and a half hours.
Yeah.
Calcrix will see if any of the camp people will interact with her. She will basically invite them over to her little campfire and see if they want to hear a story.
Fair.
Okay, so for the first hour, they are busy
course.
keeping the wards of their leader,
She's saying.
Yeah.
and afterwards, the leader does approach Calcrix.
She will offer them some of the meal that she's got going, and some of the drink that she has made, the brew. She actually has not just coffee, but she's got water, and she makes various types of teas and things like that. And she actually has a fairly big flagon, for lack of a better word, or jug of tea that she calls her wind down, relax, re-energized tea, which she has whenever she's on the road and camping and she's got sore feet and she's really tired. And really all it does is it just makes your feet feel a little bit less sore, and your muscles ache that little bit less. So she explains that to them and says this is a tea and this is what it tastes like. And she said the beautiful thing she loves about this tea, when she was creating this tea with her friend Grindelwaffle, who's a gnome who came from the Brewmeister Academy, spent many decades there learning his craft, and to her honour taught it to her. This tea will taste whatever you decide you want to taste it like, but you have to think of it very hard first for at least 10 or 15 seconds, and then concentrate on that flavour, and then drink the tea, and the tea will taste like that. And she offers the leader to give her tea a try and asks, what does it taste like?
He does say he does not, unfortunately, have time to taste.
Oh, he
But,
doesn't have time?
He has been recalled to Denogath after reporting.
Okay. Calcrix passes to Eep, puts it in a flask. The flask is handed back to the leader.
And
When you do have time.
he does hand Calcrix a scroll, which says that if you can parley with the troops of the Shadow Lord, he has given you passage as his name is Shedrak, and he is a sergeant of the nation.
And that's who I'm talking to right now?
That is who you're talking to now.
I think he's Shedrak. May I pass on this small token of my dragon esteem? I like to leave people remembering something on me, and I give him a little bag of coffee beans with Calcrix's symbol on it.
He hands you a bag of coffee beans with the same symbol you saw on their coffee.
The wyvern.
The wyvern symbol. It's not the red wyvern. He has a silhouette of a black dragon.
Ah, okay.
So the red wyvern is particularly the Shadow Lord.
Okay.
Which is not guaranteed to be the Lady of Vengeance.
No, the black dragon could be we don't know what she looks like.
Yes.
But he does say he came prepared, expecting a gift, and he gives you the orange flavored coffee beans as a response.
Thank you very much. Fare you well on all your travels. And if we should ever meet in battle, may I lose, but not die. She does that kind of with a twinkle in her eye, so he gets that she's being funny.
He does laugh, but he says he is not permitted to fight you.
Ooh. Then I am indeed fortunate. because I sense that you would be a formidable foe.
He has practiced hard.
Could you practice? Could you spar?
No, he has to go.
Well, yeah,
so,
that too, but later.
I would like to get to know Shedrack more, and his name's going in my book. And I am going to ask Drazzle if I portal the letter, will he get it? But right now, she's going to let him go do his duty because she respects his duty, and that's...
He does say you will find Denagath north beyond the Meagle Mountains. Mengull Mountains. I'm just mincing words pretty badly today.
Yep.
And beware the brigands in the mountains because they do not work on either side. They're opportunists who are just attacking stragglers.
The brigands are just brigands.
I look over to Lani and I'm like, I'm fairly sure. I'm not an overconfident dragon. I never am. But I'm fairly sure Lani will be able to advise us well.
And he says if they do not bear a dragon standard or dress as an elf or look like an elf, then they're less likely to actually be belonging to either force and probably just stirring up trouble between the two.
Open season?
Fair.
If they see any, they will kill them.
Open season.
Mm-hmm.
I did promise Seika she'd get a fight at some point.
Fair.
And he believes that a few have waylaid some of the other scouts that have been sent through.
We'll do our best to waylay them in return.
Okay. He gives you his leave of as he has to go.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And as he returns to his group, you see that they have been doing a ritual to...
Transportation?
The transportation ritual.
Right.
Calcrix is not even going to feel guilty about this. Can she see any of the transportation circle?
You can't see the runes they used.
Damn. Not even she tries really hard.
They technically constructed that inside the wards they created.
Oh, I see. She's still squinting, and she is unabashed, absolutely shameless.
So from Caltrix's eyes, there you can hear the portals there, but you just see a black wall.
So you can hear the buzz.
You know how close she is to doing a 7-year-old's jumping to see if she can see over the fence?
Of course.
She's not quite doing it.
Well,
she's thinking about it.
This is the first time you're on the other side of the ward to stop throwing.
Yeah. Curiosity is a flaw, though, so, you know.
Yeah.
There's a part of her just feeling this great deal of frustration and angst. No!
You're being denied
Yep.
your proper sneakiness.
She likes to call it curiosity. She doesn't care how many cats it's killed. She'll resurrect every single one of them.
And not long after the sound of the portal opening, it's gone and the ward drops.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the guys are gone?
All the guys are gone.
Okay. And while Drachnima was watching over them with his 32 passive perception, did he get anything that would give us insight into who they are as people, just general sort of everything?
I'll go the same thing because perception, high passive perception and high passive investigation.
So from Drachnima's perspective, they act as a unit. They each have their roles to play. And so from a clansman look at things, they act more like clansmen than they do like a warrior troop. In that perspective, it's not a random group of people thrown together. It's basically people who have worked together for a while.
Okay.
It's the sort of thing you would get from your team traveling.
Yeah.
Most people would look at you and not think military unit because you don't have that militaristic everything in a certain way, but you each have your roles and you each do it without thinking about it.
Yeah, we're trained warriors, but we're not an army force.
And these guys come across more like that to Drachnima than they do as a military unit. From Father Pat's perspective, they are more undisciplined than you'd expect.
They're
But-
the A team.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting.
Well, that's what we are.
And from the fact that they were out here as a scout, that's understandable because scouts generally aren't.
That discipline. They're
Well,
not
they're-
regimented.
They're not meant
Well, they're
to
not
be
regimental because
Yeah.
most scouts have to improvise.
Exactly. Yeah, they're meant
Rather
to
than
be a little bit more loose.
Yeah.
But rather than a regiment, they're like a tribe. They can fight together. They can
Yeah.
fight really well as a unit. They
Yeah.
know each
So
other
that-
really well.
Yeah, that's why the word is regimented,
Mm.
not regimental. It's because you don't have to be part of a regiment to act like that. It's that sort of fixed action, organised behaviour is very strongly trained military. But these people are not that. They're
And-
warriors, they're individuals, but they work well together.
From Llewellyn's perspective of things, these guys have the look of what you'd expect from a Alvin unit,
Yep.
in the sense of they would probably have trained together for maybe 50 odd years to get that level of comfort.
Yep. Yeah.
It's the sort of thing you would have done in your early years with your family.
Yeah.
In relation to Darkin and other elves, because hey, how do you teach a elf growing up? You basically give them structure and learning, and most of that
Yeah.
is
Like any teaching. Yeah.
for them. It's a 50 odd year worth of structured learning,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
even if you're not in the forest.
Did the flying scouts land and disappear too, or did they fly off separately?
You can see them flying off. Basically, they would not have been able to use the transport back.
And they did be flying back in the same direction they came?
Yeah.
They've seemed to have climbed up over the trees.
Okay.
I always thought they were as trees.
No, the trees themselves go up to about the 300-400 feet mark.
These are elven
Okay.
tall trees.
Each tree has been grown specifically with branches that extend, touching each other.
Yeah, and they're about 500 feet apart at the time.
Mm.
But as I said, I had thought that the flies were above the trees anyway, because
They-
they were flying below the level of the tree, below the tree line, the low branches.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of low branches below the 150-foot mark.
Yeah. They've got a lot of space to play with.
Okay.
So flying at 100 feet, they have clear gaps everywhere. And the closer they do to the center of the trees, they can literally go to 200 feet to 300 feet and not hit many branches.
Mm.
So
Happy with that?
Easy flying.
we're camping for the night then, so that we can get back onto this path.
Yep.
And about an hour after they leave, a sound of the tree creaks and a doorway opens.
Good evening. They say to the person who opens the tree.
Halbrix, by the way, has just for this last hour been drinking her tea, sharing it with anyone who have it, and working at her crafting table.
Mm-hmm.
Dracula would have been watching for about half an hour after they left, just to confirm they had gone, and then he'll rejoin the group.
Oh yeah.
And the person sticks their head out and says, "Greetings, have they all gone?"
They have. We've even checked for that very thing.
We were surprised when we saw them on the path.
As you should be.
Normally, invaders cannot walk on the path.
Does Halbrix recognise them?
They are an elf. You've not seen the elf before.
Halbrix says,
Maybe.
who do we have the honour of talking to?
Me, I am called Sylar. I am the guardian of the gate.
Yeah.
Or the pathway to the forest floor, as the case may be.
It
Greetings,
may-
Sala. I hand them a cup of tea.
He thanks you and looks a bit confused because he doesn't have anything to offer in return.
No need.
Your presence is sufficient gift. Have a seat.
As the elf says. Sala, this is Lani, Lil, Nadara. people who don't want to be recognised, but you can probably see.
Yes, the Queen has sent word that you were travelling north.
We are indeed.
Excellent. We are here to do something, do what we can about the present circumstance in this land.
Please let the Queen know we will be going even further north as we progress in our quest.
Yes, we now have further information to work with, so
Yes, we heard much of it from above.
I'm not surprised.
Figured.
It was rather more civilized than we expected, but
We had bows ready in case you needed assistance.
Civilised? I don't know if the guy who got folded in half thought I was very civilised, but sure.
they didn't mob you for winning.
No. They were very honourable.
That's the thing. They were honourable. They were civilized, at least to that extent.
Mm.
They weren't doing bad guy impressions. Was the thing.
They weren't twirling a mustache.
Scarlet. Siler?
So,
I don't suppose you can do anything about helping us get back onto the path early, or is that like a hard and fast rule?
Well, he has no control over that. It's an inbuilt magic into the road that if you do manage to get back onto the road beforehand, most people collapse.
I just figured it wouldn't hurt to ask.
Because the magic is so devastating on the body that if it's activated twice without a rest, it will kill most people.
Figured it wouldn't hurt to ask, and it's good to know this information.
it's good to know.
I hope
because
it
that's now a
that
weapon.
their scouting had already determined that figure and the approximate time it took to recover. That is how long we've been scouting and preparing.
Well, we have had many accidents before the king upgraded the wards on the road.
So you were surprised that they were able to make it onto the
Cut down
path?
the wall for those who don't wish to travel on.
It was never designed to intentionally stop people travelling on it. It was just designed to allow people to travel safely on it. And as only elves use the woods, he was unsure as to could a non-elf use the path.
Yeah.
Well, you know now.
Fair.
Yes, but
Particularly since I'm a dragon.
Also, I think from the sound of it, this is powered by the gem, it makes me think this is why those bad guys could get onto the road, because the protection from them getting on it has been weakened, because the gem's not presently in the king's hands.
And it may mean they may have taken the start of the roadway.
There's also that. So it's something else for us to check on the way up.
Where is the start of the roadway?
He doesn't know, all he knows is to the north. He doesn't travel much unless he's needed.
Fair enough.
He's only travelled about 10 miles in each direction because, hey, he likes his tree.
Well, I
That's
mean,
fair.
he has everything he needs.
There's a
within
lot
his
to
tree.
like about trees.
And basically the only time he travels is to take medicines to those who can't grow it.
What kind of medicines do you make?
He makes medicines that help people breathe better when their lungs don't work well.
Fair
Would
enough.
you be willing to share this recipe so that I might send it home for some of the elderly gnomes we have that have this problem?
He would be happy to share. He cannot recommend how it would work on non-elves, but he is happy for you to try. Just he recommends lesser doses on other
A
races.
small dose.
Yeah. Because hey, even humans may not be hardy enough to deal with it.
So is it an elf-only potion then?
He's never tried it on a non-elf.
I
So
could potentially check it out.
You were the first non-elf he's actually met.
Cacrix will do something she doesn't do very often. For a split second, she'll turn into her elf form and go, "That depends on your perspective," and then she'll turn back into a dragon.
Right.
But it's like literally just long enough to register that, you know, there's an elf in everybody. But I'll see whether or not my apothecary can help me figure out the ratio that might be safest to start trialing it on.
Yes,
On some of our refugees.
Yeah, but there's an elf in every dragon is often physically. So
Usually in the belly.
exactly.
Well, I'd like to say if a dragon is open-minded enough to eating those kinds of foods, there's probably every race inside one of those dragons.
That's true.
Or just ask the halfling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's some of the law for dragons specifies that dragons can eat anything, including rocks.
Mm-hmm.
They just have preferences.
Calcrix prefers fresh morning dew.
Yes.
Okay. So he does provide you with a recipe on a scroll,
Thank you.
as well as the ingredients in 3 bags.
I thank him very much because I do think some of the people's at home will make good use of this.
Because he says it normally takes a month to prepare each dose.
Oh, okay.
Gives
Oh,
what time of year is it again?
It is summer.
It gives us plenty of time to experiment before winter comes.
Mm.
It is currently nearing the end of summer.
And the days are getting longer as you're heading north.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yes.
there anything that we can do for you while we're waiting to get back on the path? I could fix things. Do you have anything that needs mending?
We rarely need to mend anything because we tend to grow most of our tools and furniture and houses and clothing.
But with your medicines, do you use potion bottles? Do
No, we
you use
normally
tools?
create our medicines as wafers.
Yeah.
So they can be, they are safe to transport, and you just have to eat it when you want it.
Yeah. There's also growing mini gourds. They're like that big.
Well, they don't see the need to produce glass or anything like that. When if it's a wafer, anyone can have it when they need it.
Yeah. Also, they take up a heck of a lot less room than a bottle.
I can apply my mending to clothes as much as I can to anything else. So.
Because it works the same way as the spell that makes.
Well, they can potentially bring you stuff, but they weave most of their clothes themselves.
She's just offering to be helpful. Well, she's got time on her hands.
He would
and
happily listen to stories.
She could do that.
Mm.
Stories are more interest than stuff, because the king does provide much assistance in the way of maintenance.
She'll happily tell him stories, but she'll work at a crafting table at the same time. I just give me a few minutes to go check on the health of a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you indeed as many tales as you can stay awake for.
He is more than happy.
And then she goes to check on Drazzle in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he does talk about how most of their communication is through the connected trees.
Yeah.
Because all the trees are interconnected of the forest.
Yeah.
Given this king, yes, I'm not surprised. And given how he's doing things.
And technically, the king can sense anything that passes beneath the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So he's heard all of the gaff that Calcrix and Saker have been talking about the king. Boring king.
Probably nothing he hasn't heard before.
Probably not.
Yeah, most likely.
Yes. You've just
I
been.
mean, Calcrix has been defending him.
Yeah, but you've just been pigeonholed anyway.
Well, he's not done anything to harm or prevent you.
Mm.
And he did send someone down to make sure you knew not to get back on the road again.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Although, funnily enough, the enemy also told us not to get back on the road again too.
Yes, but they didn't tell us why.
No, but, you know, Good that he thought of it.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
if I were the bad guy, I'd have gone, let's tell them this thing that they may not have thought of doing yet, because some people will go, yeah, let's try that out.
Well, also, he
It's
did warn Calcrix, he didn't warn the rest.
Yes. It's a bad guy's intelligence test. Let's see if you're as dumb as I think you are. Oh, good, you're not. That's going to be nice.
Okay, so yes, checking on Drazzle, he does seem to still be sleeping.
I just want to check. Because I know a lot of people have been casting various versions of restoration on him from all three groups.
And, well, except for the Friday group, because he disappeared.
Yeah, he ended up going off with the Great Hunt.
The Wild Hunt.
I'll sit by him for just a few minutes and let him know that I'm still by his side and that I've made first contact with the people who know our sister. I make a joke to him. The reason you're asleep like this is so that you don't have to talk to her, right? There's something you're not telling me, and you're just trying to avoid her because, you know, I've seen you do this before when I get too talky and you just decide that perhaps maybe snoozing might be better than listening to me.
So this is where we hear the snoring, right?
I don't know. Does he snore extra loudly now?
Doesn't seem to snort any louder than normal.
Calcrix will just pretend he snored extra loudly just to make himself feel better.
That's funny. I like it.
It's what a 12-year-old would do.
Yeah.
Okay, so the elf does offer you respite up in the village until it's time for you to go if you wish.
As long as
That
we
would
can
be
take Drazzle with us, yes.
Nice and useful. May have to put his cart down below. Although his cart staying outside is probably entirely safe.
Well, they do say that their pathway does cater to large vehicles.
Fair
Is,
This is one of the trees close to the road.
Is Horse
Yeah.
still in his gigantic form?
Well, he's back in the large form.
Normal, large form. Yep. Okay. Well, I'm happy to go up and rest in their village. It'll be far more comfortable than out here. And even though we'll probably place watch anyway, we won't have to be as diligent as we would if we were on the open path.
Yeah.
As you see, as you're going up the tree, the pathway in the tree opens up before you and closes behind you.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a glass wall sort of thing, except it's not something a enemy can break into and use
Yeah.
Right.
because it doesn't exist when they're not walking it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Which means non-elves can't actually use it.
Yeah. Have to have an escort.
Yep.
It's all good.
And it only partly works for the world.
Only part.
Yes, because technically you're only really a half high elf.
That is very true.
From the point of view of the guy of the people who set it up, yes.
Technically.
Well, to be a full elf, I'd have to have come from here, obviously.
Or be dedicated to the high elf or ideals above all else,
Yeah.
which is the
Which-
elven superiority.
Yeah, which is one of the things I had an issue with the other nobles of.
Calcrix
Oh,
on
fine.
I was gonna say.
And any of the other elves who are a high elf who doesn't follow the full ideals also couldn't use it properly.
Yeah.
She may never be a high elf
Hmm.
because she doesn't think herself superior to everyone else.
Well, they've been brought up in a nation where that is the belief, and and you are the first non-elves that have visited this village.
And this
Yeah.
is why when you don't have diversity, it's not very good.
So it's just a little
Yeah.
village
Has
up in the trees.
It seems to be a multi-level village, mostly hidden in the boughs of the tree, with branches being used for fields. as you see food, as in wheat, other grains, fruit trees growing,
There's an orchard.
and many herbs in various places.
Calcrix will restock.
And by the looks,
Of course.
this place is majority used for growing medicinal needs of other areas. They do have saffron,
I need more saffron.
and they even have multiple versions of saffron.
You needed multiple versions of saffron? This is intriguing.
Is it just as expensive as it is in real life?
I don't know.
Actually, it would be, because saffron is an arse to pick.
Yeah,
Do you know anything about picking
a
saffron?
little bit, yeah.
You've got, no matter how big your fields are,
Yeah.
you have basically 2 days.
That's it.
And you really, to get good quality, you want to do it in 1 day.
Yep.
Every single flower on your plot.
You just need lots of people.
I know, that's why it's expensive. You need lots of people who are trained in picking those particular items without actually killing anything.
But Calcrix has been adventuring for 12 years, so
Yeah.
she will buy one of every variety.
Of course, because you're an adventurer.
I was gonna say, at this stage, it's very much like one of every variety because you have to hoard all the items.
Yeah, but she'll also.
You
collect
never know when you
herbs
need
and
to
things
use
like
it.
that.
Exactly.
Do they ever do any propagating of plants and things?
They do. They experiment, which is why they have multiple versions of saffron.
Can she buy a propagation kit from them? She has a special little mushroom she wants to propagate.
Well, they don't technically have kits. They just
Go out and do.
go out and do. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, do they have like a little nursery where, you know, they do a little bit of the extra sort of propagation of like seedlings and stuff and splitting off, where they do this a bit of specialist work.
Well, they do have the village druid who does most of that.
If the village druid is available, Calcrix will visit them and try and get herself a little propagation kit. Or, you know, the tools to make herself a propagation kit.
A pot plant with compost in it.
She's going to need a little bit more specialised than that. But the druid would probably have it.
It's very
But she
specialised.
does. You are introduced to the druid, who basically you can see that she does most of her stuff by hand. But then again, she's had about 600 years experience.
She shows the druid her special mushroom and says, I would like to try and propagate this mushroom, being told that it is possible with great care and patience. Do you have any tools that I might be able to put to use for this, which I'd be happy to recompense you?
She doesn't have any, but she would recommend asking the dwarves, because they deal in mushrooms as their main source of food.
Okay, that's a good idea. She's
Whereas-
glad she asked.
Whereas for them, they normally grow stuff in sunlight, which is not great for mushroom growth.
Yes. But elves can do pretty well anything with flowers and herbs than dwarves can do with spores.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
See the dwarves for spores, molds, and fungus. See the elves for flowers, trees, and other light-grown plants.
Yep.
So halflings are very good at doing it in bulk. The elves are known for the quality over quantity.
She would
Yes.
like to just see if she can, because she's told it's from the Feywild, and she knows that it will work as a good healing tea if she can produce more than one. So she will take that in mind and go see the dwarves when she can.
She would try not to ask the gnomes because they'll be too busy investigating that they'll not quite get round to it.
No, I intend to go straight to the dwarves for this one. But I thought since you guys did medicines and things like that you might have the equipment I might need. But I'm happy to wait and talk to the dwarves.
But she's more than happy to talk to you about the propagation of the plants up on top of trees.
I will take copious notes.
Because you see that they actually grow them out of the tree itself.
Yeah.
And so all the plants are connected in that way.
Calcrix will tell her about her home place,
Hmm.
which has similar very large trees in it. Some of them very young, unfortunately, at the moment, because she's only really been building these trees for a short while, in comparison to the
Well,
king.
she does recommend speaking to the elves of the Melanadil clan because they should have access to rituals to grow the trees in months in what would take centuries.
Noted. Where do I find those elves?
They're supposed to be on the way here, she says. They have a great library.
We've met them.
Oh, so they were the elves that we went by?
Yes, they were the ones with the librarian.
So that's the one that Calcrix got the details of and said that she would write to? Calcrix has a letter to write later on.
Yes, they have interesting rituals to deal with the elven way of life.
Just so that the GM notes, Calcrix is writing a letter to them to help grow her trees on Mount Dread.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you may end up with a forest unlike anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's what she's aiming for.
That'd be
Because
cool.
Wendar was grown from those rituals, as was the Forest of Alfheim, but that was done by wood elves, so it didn't quite follow a pattern that enhances their magic.
So part of Calcrix's letter says, P.S. I hear that you helped with the trees in Wendar. I hope mine don't have to be in quite such a structured pattern.
Oh, she does tell you that the structure the king used allows him to connect from further away, and it literally enhances his magic.
Cool.
So as he personally grew every tree, he can connect to every tree.
That's a fuck ton of work.
And if
Okay,
there's,
worth it.
and the rest of us just maintain the trees.
Well, she's just mostly aiming to provide a home for all the people in her region. And she likes trees.
Mm-hmm.
Her good friend, druid friend, used to care for a tree of life. And has developed in her a similar love.
Yes. They believe there are trees of life in Wendar, but none have heard them talk.
Calcrix now immediately wants to go and find these trees of life and just talk at them.
We think we know why. We may end up doing something about it.
So why might they not be talking? Because of the
Because of the
gemstones?
gems.
Yeah. Alright,
We believe, well, that she does say she believes that the trees should have started talking since the gem has gone missing, but they have not gained power to talk yet.
There's that too.
Which means they should have awoken 4 years ago.
Yeah.
so why wouldn't they be talking?
Someone is using their power.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is using their power.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
While their power is drained, they do not have the ability to speak.
So if whoever nicked the gem is using it hard...
Well, it's not one of my gems. I'm not
No.
using them.
No. I'm not saying you're using them. Whoever's got the gem that they're attached to...
And you know what that tells me?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone thought that I had stolen Wendar's gem. I have stolen a gem from Wendar, but
Yeah.
not the gem that was being used against Wendar.
Apparently.
Yes.
So I was right.
Unless someone else has that gem now.
I'm pretty sure the Rakasha would have told me by now.
Well, yeah, because it's
The
upstairs.
Rakasta, yeah.
Yes. So there's something else that's drawing on those trees, possibly the same way the gem does.
It's
Um,
important information to know.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if you can draw on a ley line, you can literally draw on the power of the trees.
Yeah.
It's ley magic.
Does the druid know much about ley magic?
She does, just that only the king practices it as far as she knows.
So Calcrix can't go, tell me more. Because I have a feeling I'm going to need to know this shit.
She looks after the nature and leaves the power lines to the king.
Okay.
Mainly because if too many people draw upon it, it will drain the region of its magic.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. Well,
And potentially its people. Because the people are tied to the land.
we're going to head north and find out if we can figure out who's using those. If it's not already the master.
Okay, so you are each given as many rooms as you feel you need to rest on. Each of them laid with soft leaves.
I'm happy to sleep with everyone else. I'm going to sleep closest to Drazel.
Yep, that's fair.
Fair. Yeah. No.
I'm very happy to partake of the hospitality
Yeah.
quietly and listening and just whittling away for
Lonnie will just let Calcrix know that she's close by for any
Where'd you
aid
go?
with
What did
Drazel.
you do?
Yes. Cool stuff.
Could you make something up at least? I want
No,
a story.
I can't. Otherwise, I have to make it happen.
So
You
make
can
up.
just tell me a story of something that's already happened.
Oh, but what if things are boring?
I never
What if you
get
have to fix what
bored.
happened?
You've done some cool stuff.
I've done lots of cool stuff.
Yeah, I want that
Yeah.
story.
Maybe I should take storytelling.
I will
as
tell.
a-
I will tell.
No one's told me a
Performance
story
skill.
for sleeping time for ages.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
Lonnie
how
will
about-
tell Calcrix the story again of her failing her first test as captain.
We're gonna make it happen again.
That story again.
No, that's fine. She's happy. She'll hear it 100 times. It's Lani
No, no,
voice.
but the point being that in lying sure that telling an old story does not mean the event has got to happen again, because it's still prophecy.
She will find out.
It depends how she puts it.
Well, if it's an old story that has happened, as long as I don't do any fisherman's tales, and I do stick to the facts,
Yeah.
then it's fine.
There's a reason that you repeat.
As long as I stick,
Lani's told Calcrix
Yes.
stories before.
Tell old stories.
as long as I actually do stick to the facts and
Yeah.
don't add too much embellishment, then Lonnie thinks she's fine. Well, time will tell if that's true.
Drazel said it was okay last time Calcrix asked Lani for stories. So, you know.
That was up before he had to change the timeline 30 times.
Little tiny issues.
But I think it's okay. Because you've told this one before, like several times.
I have. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I've
You
got
know,
all- I've
you
got all
could
sorts of-
change the story so that you end up with the love of your life.
Then she'll have to get.
Well, then I have to make it happen. And what if that is not what our paths are?
Isn't that what you want?
What if it's a bad thing?
What I want and what fate dictates are two different things.
Because if it doesn't happen, then Lani gets erased.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah, no, that's okay.
how about I tell some elven stories because they don't have the same weight that your stories do.
Okay.
Exactly.
Calcrix
So I'm
wants
going
to
to
be a
give
love story.
I can
Lowell
tell
a
some of
will
Lonnie's stories.
saving throw when he tells his story.
Pardon? What?
Lowell gets to make a will saving throw when he tells his story.
Calcrix wakes up and says, "Now I need another story from Lani." I want Mum to do it.
I'll tell a. If I tell stories of stories that I heard,
Fortunately, I am
with the idea that they are
favoured in the use
fables,
of will saves.
tell the story of how the current queen won her
That's
position.
hard to beat. I just rolled a 19.
Oh, there you go.
And I beat it.
You did! Wow!
I can beat it. Look at that.
Nat 20.
That's
Natural
good.
20.
Wow.
So two net 20s
25.
today.
25. Okay,
Yeah.
so
19.
A
Said he
19.
couldn't beat it, and then he got a 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
But two net
Okay.
20s today, because I got a net 20.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So Llewellyn is aware
'Cause
that
I
he
rolled
has
all the
been
ones.
caught up in a compulsion as he starts telling a tale of the wild hunt.
Ooh.
As he feels the presence of the elven gods.
Oh.
What does that mean?
What is the consequence of me continuing this story without attempting to alter it?
Well, the wild hunt has its purpose, and it generally tells people a tale of things that are happening as it happens.
The Wild Hunt is...
He's bloody scary.
The Wild
As-
Hunt is about people who break their oaths.
It's a group of hunters
Oh, I know what it is.
who chase down. No, not just.
No, Friday group. Who started the Wild Hunt?
I have no idea.
Ta. She did, apparently. She found out last Friday session, D&D.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
And she's just like, I did the what now? What is the Wild Hunt?
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The thing is,
they
is
do
it kind
chase
of-
down Oathbreakers, but they do something else.
They hunt down anyone the nobles don't actually like. Preferred people are Oathbreakers and a few others. Not always evil, usually scary. It's like a lot of Fae. And a unseelie wild hunt is really scary.
Martin,
It's like
is
being
that
chased by Cthulhu.
is that the same as what? Because that's not the information we were given on Friday. On Friday we were given.
Because you were given it from the perspective of one of the other characters.
Okay, so it's not the full story. Okay, that's good to know.
The wild hunt has many connotations depending on who is in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have to have been the starter of the Wild Hunt.
Well, you could literally have been the first starter of the wild
Mm.
hunt.
You
Okay.
could, you could have instigated it, but then they went on to hunt down like 8 other people.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's normally how it goes. They're after like one person and then they just keep going all night.
Mm.
The implications of it, however, will it cause us to join them? Will it cause me to join them? Will it call a wild hunt down on us? What's the exact story I'm
Well, Drazzle's been
telling?
taken by the Wild Hunt on Friday.
I wouldn't know.
I told you guys that at the start. I said Drazzle. I was letting you know what
Yeah.
happened to Drazzle, and I said in the other
That he was
Red
taken.
Dreams group that I'm commissioned to work for, Drazzle has gone on the Wild Hunt, but he's here now still.
Well, yeah, Drazzle
So
does
you do
weird-
know that bit of information.
Yeah.
Has
Okay.
gone or
Drazzle
was
does weird stuff though.
taken?
The thing is, it's
What was the phrasing that Calcrick specifically used? That Drazzle has gone on a wild hunt?
He
or
was
has
taken by the Wild
taken
Hunt.
on a wild hunt?
Yeah.
Alright.
And from, if I understand it, he was taken for his own protection, and the understanding is it's possibly Calcrix has indeed taken him because Calcrix started the Wild Hunt and wanted to protect Drazzle. Is that right, roughly?
That's what you believe.
Well, that's what we've been told by the character in Friday's group who is from the Wild Hunt and sent to help us
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
by Drazzle.
Oh, good.
okay.
Fair.
Just to confuse you all.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for.
We have a new player. She's got a character called Morrigan. Morrigan is of the Wild Hunt.
That's cool.
Fair enough.
Love that. That's
Okay,
actually
so-
really cool.
The story seems to be one of testing people.
I think we're all going to be tested.
I'm going to. I don't think I can avert what's going on.
And
This
you
a
can
compulsion
feel
of
that
storytelling.
it is being led by the entire Elven pantheons, the Feywild and the Feydark.
Holy,
That's so powerful
that's
stuff.
Hunkapatiguru.
I don't know what that means.
Bad times.
It's like being hunted by Io.
Why did Granddad hunt me?
I said it's like being hunted by. I didn't say he was hunting you.
Testing.
It's big shit stuff.
Which means
But Granddad
even
loves me.
Ixion is in the hunt.
Who's in the hunt?
Ixion.
Ixion.
Because he is one of the Elven Pantheon, not
Oh,
the leader,
wow.
but he's in.
No, he's in there and he
Ixion's
Oh.
not necessarily good news.
no, he's not.
Not right now.
Particularly not for me.
Yeah.
As is Ilsendor.
Who's also not good news for me right at the moment, even though he's the god I worship.
Are there any gods that are good for you?
Several other ones.
Technically, Raphael would be in there too, even though
He would be, but with mask on.
all of them would have masks on.
I know, but he's got a mask on that works on them.
Because the whole
'Cause they
point of
don't-
the Wild Hunt is
Yeah.
they don't know who each other is.
Well, that's the thing. It actually works beautifully for him because they can't know who he is.
Yeah.
So he could join them with no repercussions because they couldn't even think about why this person's there.
So in terms
Fine.
of he's telling this story, he's compelled to tell this
I'm
story.
compelled to tell the story,
But he's
Why-
aware of the story as he's
Yes.
telling it.
Yeah.
And what I can do, what I've been trying to get to,
Yeah.
is, or aiming towards, is I can add context and information to my storytelling for these others.
Okay, so to get down to what the theme of the story is basically they seem to be collecting Drazzle from various time points because he will not be there otherwise.
Right, so the Wild Hunt is presently rescuing Drazzle from presumably a lot of his own actions to make it possible for him to continue doing his actions to make sure that they can continue existing.
Because they were instructed to many thousands of years ago
Yes.
at this time.
Is there anything in the is there anything in the story that indicates what our part of this is, or am I just telling a story of what's happening with Drazzle? Drazzle's here. We're involved. How? What does the story say?
Basically that if he is not removed from the mortal plane, he will be hunted.
So is he being removed entirely for good?
It doesn't say.
They're trying to put him back together, according to the story.
So
Well,
our
where
Drazzle
he's
might
gonna-
have to go back to the Wild Hunt.
Where it can be put together with the rest of him.
Well, Calcrix will go and gather up Drazzle off the cart and
Stand ready.
stand ready because
Okay.
she doesn't want Drazzle to die. She doesn't want him to go anywhere.
Well, as far as I can
She's
work
putting
out,
on her brave face, her
Yeah.
big girl brave face.
yeah, as far as I can work out, given what he's just done 32 times,
Yeah.
they're putting him back together because we've got 1/32 of Drazzle, right?
Yeah.
He split himself too wide, too fast, too far.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll gather up Drazzle and be ready and just listen to whatever Lua is saying and go from there.
And you all hear the sound of horses and horns,
We will all go out to meet
and
them.
then next thing you know, it's fading, and Drazzle and his cart is gone.
Well, that saved us
Okay.
having to encounter them.
And Calcrix is
It's all
sitting
make
there.
it clear that this is not a tale that he had heard before or was making up, but he was the conduit through which the story was told.
It was a warning. It was them warning us what was about to happen.
No, I was going back to what will make it clear that he wasn't his story.
Oh yeah, that was part of what I was saying. That's why I was adding context and sort of basically, here is a story that I'm telling. I'm going to add why I'm telling it and why I'm going, and so a bunch of extra info to give you context,
Which is why Calcrix went and got
Yeah.
Drazzle and
Yeah.
made sure Drazzle was ready.
rather than just going eek.
Yeah. And now Drazzle is looking at everybody with big fat tears going down her cheeks because it's the first time she's been away from
Drazzle in a very long time.
And
Lonnie
you,
will hug
It's alright, he'll be back.
Calcrix.
and you think
She
that
changes down to
his
size
actions
to get
made
from
him
behind.
vulnerable to the Master.
That is another reason to basically rescue him.
So what did you say that about Master?
His actions made him vulnerable to the Master.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. He's divvied up his power in many places, so he definitely needs to regather before the winter. Otherwise,
And now you have a tiny Calcrix cuddling into the small of your arm.
because keep in mind, Lonnie's a human. She's probably one of the smaller party members.
That's why you got tiny Calcrix cuddling into the small of your arm.
You actually, you and he are probably about the same height. Because remember, Drachnemy is not tall.
Yeah, Dirty
No.
is not that's not. Well, I'm
Though
not
he
either.
can grow big in
Yeah.
his hybrid form.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah,
if
And he's taller than he used to be.
that's
I-
actually a good point.
I would say both
Yeah.
human, both in human form. Dracula is still taller than Lonnie.
Okay, so
Unfortunately, that
Yeah, 'cause
also
you
means
are-
you have a tiny eep cuddled into your arm, also
Yeah.
crying.
I am out of respect of Calcrix, and like not that I dislike Eep, but just like hi.
Paul, you also did get a divination at the same time.
Yeah.
So the divination is: would you like the upright meaning or the reversed meaning? You get a choice.
Oh,
Depending on which it is, it's usually better.
usually. If he's looking at what I think he's looking at, it's almost 50-50 though.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
You can never
Oh,
tell
that's
which one's
right.
good or bad.
Yes, that one, they've explicitly got,
50-50
it's basically 50-50 on every single one.
That's
Which
fine.
is why I like to give people options without telling them what the card is.
I hate being given those options.
Well, the thing is,
Oh.
it's a really easy option
I'll
at
take
that
a look at
point.
that after the game. That
No.
looks cool.
It's a really easy option at that point. I have a die.
Odd or even.
Go for it.
Upright.
Upright. Okay, so you get a feeling of in your future there will be an underground stairs that leads to a heavy door made of iron bars, representing potentially imprisonment or freedom.
Right.
Well, they're not the complete contradiction of each other.
Depending on how it actually goes.
Yeah, but it's not useful information. from the
And
point of
so
view of
I was actually
divination.
going to get into the next bit.
Sorry, okay, yeah.
It was just me saying what the actual divination gives before
Yeah.
the meaning comes.
Yep. No, that's
Saying that freedom of a person close to you was at risk, giving you the impression that you had moments before the wild hunt concluded for your friend to have actually survived had he not been taken. They actually arrived moments before he would have been taken.
So basically, Calcrix picking him up and taking him outside was helpful because it saved them a couple of moments.
Oh, that's good. But
Yeah.
I only did that because
No.
you told the
No,
story.
no, no.
He
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's
also
close
saved them
it
going
is.
to us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
'Cause I
actual
brought
card
him
itself
closer.
was the dungeon.
Right.
That's okay.
But
That's
I
how you spell dungeon.
only took that action because
No,
Lewis told the story.
Donjon is actually correct.
So if you hadn't told
That's
that
also me
story,
making fun of the old English way of spelling jail.
We would
so
have
there's
missed
that
out.
too.
Yeah.
so that's really good.
Yeah.
So
Dungeon's a type of jail.
So sometimes the divination is about what's happening, sometimes it's about what's happened, sometimes it's what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mm.
That's really cool.
And in this case, you had a notice of what you achieved by telling your story
Yeah.
and changing it.
It's a good thing that you picked up that you
Yeah.
were telling the story for that reason.
Mm.
Yay, natural 20.
Yeah.
Well, I try to reward natural 20s, sometimes in ways the players never expect.
Yeah, well, extra surprises on top of surprises is good.
Right.
Often.
And horse and the cart are also gone.
Yeah, you did mention they were all gone. Because horse and cart are both so much of what Drazzle is. Plus the cart's his time machine.
Well, you realise it's more of a doorway to everywhere.
Yeah, it's a TARDIS. It's a time and
It's
space
painted
machine.
blue, and it's got
Yes.
some white squares on it,
Yeah, it does.
and then it's got some icons at the top that nobody understands in an ancient language.
Yeah.
And it flashes sometimes.
And when horse growls, it makes horrible squealing noises. Yeah.
Okay, so yes. And you find that many hours have passed since you started telling the story.
I'm not entirely surprised.
But Calcris is used to that feeling of lost time.
Calcris is busy crying into Lani's armpit right now.
I'm just giving a nice respectful scratch on the scales and not avoiding Eep, but keeping a good healthy distance.
Well, Eep seems to be not doing much at the moment, just standing outside.
Okay.
I told Lani that Eep was with me. We both snuggled into her armpit.
Yeah.
Which is a scary thought,
So, like,
really.
As you look, you also notice Eep is also standing beside you as well as outside.
Yep. I expected this.
Eep's also next to Luell.
Hello, Eep, and Eep, and Eep.
Yeah.
Why is there so many Eeps?
Eep propagated. This is all your questioning about propagation.
That'll
just-
surprise Calcrix enough to kind of pull her head out and kind of look
I
around
think-
at all the Eeps and go,
Eep just wants to be with everyone.
lots of
I think.
Eeps.
Is there an Eep next to Drachnimir?
No.
How does he get so lucky?
Okay,
Drachnimir is very
remember.
happy tribesman right now.
Drachnimir has threatened Eep with his sword before.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
sword that has a special effect on plants.
Against.
Yes.
And Eep doesn't want to have to eat Drachnimir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Plants or Fey
Plants.
Dark?
plants.
Because Eep is not actually a plant.
We know that, but Drachnimir doesn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
still a scary piece of equipment.
Because, Calcrix definitely knows that Eep is not a plant.
Yeah.
She just likes plants, so
Yeah.
Eep appears as a plant. If Calcrix changed her mind in her own teenage way and said, I now love puppy dogs, Eep would become a puppy dog.
Yeah, just dark with red eyes.
Yeah. It would be the most cutest, adorable, evil puppy dog you'd ever seen, but it would still be evil.
Yes.
My friend had a
Of
dog
course.
like that.
Yeah, of course, if he became a cat, he would be the most evil, cutest cat you'd ever seen and be absolutely indistinguishable from every other cat.
I was going to say, that's just a cat.
Exactly.
Eep would look like Yzma
As a cat, yeah.
as a cat.
That would be adorable,
Yeah.
actually.
Wrong lever!
Is that my voice?
Okay, so you find that there's only about an hour left before you can make it back onto the road by the time you realize time has passed.
Convenient
It's been a
timing.
while.
Calcrix's tired now. She wants to sleep.
Well, once we get back on the road, we'll need to.
It's okay, she's just gonna summon her T-Rex and ride on the back of her T-Rex and sleep.
That makes sense.
Well, it is her mount.
Yes.
She's also got Varlin. Is Varlin still around?
He's still around, yes.
Who's this?
I got Varlin as a gift from a deck of many things on the Friday night group. Varlin is a
Silver Dragonborn.
silver dragonborn
Paladin.
who basically protects her.
That's pretty cool.
And you can ride him.
No, No, she's
No
kind of like
piggybacks?
Vala's
It
like
sounded-
Drazzle.
It sounded like
Yeah.
you sounded like for the way you were saying things. It sounded like you were riding him.
No, that's
that's
a
the
T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Yeah, but then you said Balin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Balin is her dragonborn who is her valet.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like a squire or something like that.
Well, he sounds cool.
We-
Should
we-
be introduced to us at some
We all have weirdos
as frenzies.
as followers and allies.
I don't know if you'd consider him weird. He's a
I don't-
dragonborn.
I haven't met him.
Well, no, he's not. Okay, he's not a weirdo. He's unusual. I'm the one who has a tree, so I can't say much.
Opposite. Completely agree. He's a weirdo, just like Nadar and all y'all that can turn into dragons. Like, what's up with that? Lonnie says in complete jest.
We could
I
teach you how to
suddenly,
turn into a dragon.
Martin, I suddenly look like Lani
Mm-hmm.
and then grin.
See? This
A
is
tall
what I want.
Lani.
I
Lonnie
was
with
gonna
height.
say, does Eve take a leaf from this notebook and suddenly look like
It's a
Lani
hat of
too?
disguise. I can look
And that
her.
would be the
Okay,
thing that
the head
shuts
is
Lonnie
here,
up.
but yeah.
And I'm just to make fun of you. Fun of everybody.
Because Eve's favourite thing is mimicking.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Now I look like Eep.
But no, then I
Very
worry
good.
about when eat mimics.
Yes, because when he mimics you, you start to lose colour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
don't
means
know.
your emotions start to get. He does stabilize people's emotions until they have none.
Yeah. Well, they're very stable.
Alright,
Of course.
Caltrix is getting on her T-Rex
So
after
what would-
appropriately saying goodbyes to everyone.
So what would happen if Eep mimics a mimic and then it changes shape?
He can keep changing shape with it.
You could have a shape competition.
I don't think Eve really stakes much in competitions. I think she
No.
just.
But if
wins them.
if the mimic puts some food on the line,
The mimic is the food.
But
Well, the mimic
people
doesn't
hold
know
the
this.
competition, they can defeat the mimic.
yeah, I know. Well, that's what Martin just said. But that's the thing. The mimic doesn't know this. It can have some food which is offering as a
I think
as a prize.
Zal would appreciate this story though, because it'd be the first. It'd be kind of like revenge for her.
That, hold on, I just realized, like, I was making fun of them because they change shape and all that stuff. Lonnie's legit the only one that doesn't change form or shape in any way. All the other ones, I mean, other than Nadar doesn't change, but I was just more making
Nadar,
fun of them being
Yeah.
dragons. But no, everybody else changes shape all the time.
I don't change
Hey,
shape all the time.
I only do.
Just
Yeah.
All the time.
No,
I did it now.
More than once.
But most of the time, I'm just
Hey.
Calcrix.
You can do it without magic items.
Well, that's because I.
You're Calcrix.
A dragon.
You're the coolest.
Yes, I need magic
I don't
items
know
to do
about the
this stuff.
coolest, but
You're the coolest Calcrix we've ever known.
I'm the only Calcrix you've ever known.
You're still the coolest.
She's starting to feel very confused.
You know, I knew this one Caltrix back in the academy.
She's just like, I think they're teasing me, T-Rex. We should probably just start heading off so I can have some sleep.
This is where I just reassured Calcrix and I was like, no, it's totally a thing. Like, you just gotta make fun of your friends every once in a while. Much how I would explain this to an actual 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Because they are still developing their sense of humor.
Humor.
And it's so funny to talk to them sometimes.
Well, the other thing too is, here's how adults do humour.
Yeah.
This is why it's different to what you're used to. It's not dad jokes anymore.
It's the whole, like, the 90s, like, nah thing.
Calcrix and eat no humour.
You know good jokes.
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
We play jokes
It's
on
called
people all the time.
Yes, it's called slapstick.
Movie
We
things.
give them lovely potions in their foods.
It's called slapstick.
And when they did it to themselves, that was even more hilarious.
How did they do it to themselves?
Well, they
Love a good
shared a
lovely
potion of one of the love potions between themselves over a meal, not realizing it was one of those potions,
Oh god.
and then affected each other.
That's funny.
And then it gets played back constantly by one of the other magical items the party has.
That's
Oh
hilarious.
yes, the puppet.
No, actually,
the skull.
a skull that's inside a drift globe.
Yes. That's the point. I do actually have to investigate the spell book my sister gave me and find out what's actually in it. Because I haven't done that yet.
You could possibly be doing that at night while you're resting.
Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if at least a third of them are necromantic.
Oh, come on, sister.
Here's how you animate the bones while they're still alive.
I would be unsurprised if most of them are
This
dead.
means
Yeah.
Calcrix
And
wants
the ones
to
that
read
aren't
over his shoulder
are
while he's
themed.
doing it.
Like, hey, this is fireball. It's black and leaves marks.
Am I tall enough to do that without noticing?
You are tall enough to do so, but his spellbook's a skull that he has to stare in the eyes of.
Yeah, it's not a readable book.
Aw,
It's like
what kind of book is that?
one
Not
that I
very
need to
good,
read
though.
by looking into the eyes of. Like looking into the eyes of a lover, considering this used to be my sister's lover's head.
That's
Come on,
something.
T-Rex, let's head north. I
I'm
don't
not a goth.
understand this, I don't want to.
I'm not a goth. I'm just related to one and appreciate it.
I'm not an adult yet, and I don't have to be.
There's no need to get up. There's no need to grow up if you can just grow old.
I choose to be a child for a
Yes.
bit longer.
Like at least another couple of decades, right? Centuries. Should I keep going?
I'll decide eventually.
Child at heart, always. As long as you don't turn evil, say, I have the heart of... Some people say I have the heart of the child. That's a lie. I have the heart of 2 children.
Yes. I have a heart. I am not heartless. I have a heart. I can't remember whose it is. I keep it in a box.
Yep.
Here's one I prepared earlier.
Every good necromancer has a heart, or
Yes.
100.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Or the old necromancer line. It's really easy to raise a family if they're all buried close together.
Well, hey, there are so many ways you can make that work.
Why do I feel like necromancers, like their whole thing is just telling really bad puns most of the time?
For some of them, yeah, certainly.
They have some real deadpan humor.
Yes.
I know a necromancer.
Literally
You don't
deadpan.
get anything quite as
Yeah.
lively as that.
As a side thing, one PC in Living Greyhawk, halfling,
Yeah.
they grew up and they rebelled against their parents. And they chose a class based on
Yes,
their
I was
rebellion.
getting to that point when we had a break.
They're both necromancers. He's a paladin.
I love that. That's so funny.
And a paladin of life.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
So,
Okay, so
They're great people, just necromancers.
you ride for a day on the path.
Yep.
So that's basically 24 hours on the path.
Yep.
And you reach the foothills of the mountains where you find a big scorched area where the path just ends.
Right.
So that's how they got on the path.
Hmm.
You see above the area many carrion crows swooping and circling above, covering close to a mile in area from where you enter.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no trees between here and the mountains ahead.
Oh, fun.
So it's all been destroyed?
A big chunk of what used to be forest is gone.
Wow.
I guess some sort of perception or investigation as to what did this, unless you've got more information to come and I'm jumping the gun.
You can do an investigation check.
Mm.
Yep,
So is
I'll
it
do
like
that.
those big, tall trees we've been seeing all along the way, and then it just
Then it just stops. And the path is broken at this stage. Parts of it are in the forest either side. And just ahead of it is just scorch.
Wow.
So it would
I'm
be
going
something
to-
very powerful in order to do something like this. And it looks... I guess we'd have to do an investigation.
Yeah.
Question becoming, how recent does it look like this occurred, if possible to tell?
Yeah.
That would also be an investigation check.
Yes, that's what I figured.
Yes, I'm going to sort of
Where's my thing?
take in the gestalt of what I see and throw my passive investigation at the environment, which
Okay.
is 28.
You're not noticing anything looking down upon you or watching you except for the crows. Nothing looks like it's a trap or like it's about to sneak off or hide or attack you.
So if there's anything to see, I'd actually have to be looking for it specifically.
Well, if you're looking for clues to stuff, you generally use investigation. If you're wanting to see people, movement, flashes of light, that's normally in perception.
Yeah, but that's why I'm using investigation, for passive investigation, because I got the...
Oh, sorry, you're doing passive investigation.
Investigation, yes, because I got the feat that gives me a bonus to both.
Okay.
For investigation of how recent did all of this happen, I rolled a 23.
Okay, it looks as if that happened in the last week.
Okay.
It doesn't look more than 7 days old.
Wow.
So Dracula was looking around. And,
Yeah.
What did
Dracula
Dracnomir get?
29.
29. Dracnomir, looking at it, it looks as if it is... it reminds him of some of the damage dealt by the Master to the Darachan fortifications.
Right.
He actually had weapons that would leave this level of devastation, wiping out all life within a radius of a strike.
Ouch.
As far as we're the last, he should not be anywhere near this facility right now, should he?
He should not, but it looks as if one of his weapons may have made it up here.
Yep.
So I'll just do my investigation check first, but I also may see if I can cast a spell.
And the type of devastation you have seen.
Okay, 19.
Well, Dracnomir has seen,
Yeah, you've seen that.
being the general and having to actually be aware of the various assaults of the Master, whereas the rest of the team didn't get briefed on everything.
So you're saying we can't?
Yeah, the whole ones from the wars as opposed to just the ones that the
Yeah.
party came across.
Yeah.
What do you calculate?
Brain, sorry, I was trying to keep track of what you guys were.
Okay, I was saying that Dracnomir had an understanding that this looks as if it's a weapon like the Master used against Darachan.
Okay, alright. And so, my investigation was 19. Plus, if I use intelligence, it makes it 22. But I'm sometimes able to argue wisdom because she often does intuition. So if I'm able to argue intuition, that would be 30. But that's at your discretion.
Well, I will give you a response on this one, whichever way you go. You believe from your understanding that this may have been the effects of a devastation orb. Because
I know what they are.
the radius does suit. And they could literally incinerate trees. Because there'd be a rain of fire in an area.
It would indeed.
And it looks as if there are some fallen bodies not far from where the path is broken.
That's something we'll check out. So,
Which brings me to my next question, because I was looking at a spell that might give me some idea of who might have destroyed this place. I don't have a lot of spells, I don't think, that help me. The only one that I've got that might even give me some kind of indication is Detect Good or Evil, which gives me some information about the area that I'm in, such as if it's consecrated or desecrated, and I
Yeah.
get a religion check.
Which one it is?
Deception, aberration, so that's the other one. So, but I don't think it can be applied in this situation, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I may have.
Well, it has a range of 30 foot.
So if I walk into the devastated area and cast it at where I think the centre is?
And it will tell you if an area has been majorly consecrated or desecrated.
Yeah, so I don't think... I'm
And-
trying to get an indication of who I think this might be, and I don't think that's the spell to do it.
Nah.
It won't tell you that level of
See, I used to
information.
have a list of all my spells, but that's disappeared. Now I have to look at each page individually and figure out. I could do guidance, but I don't think that's going to help me anymore right now.
Though you could cast it as a 4th level spell and give you 8 hours of it running.
And that would tell me if evil things were in the area.
You'll know if you come within range of a consecrated or desecrated area, and then you can spend an action to try to sense if a aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead is within range.
If it's the master, that probably wouldn't be a bad thing because he sends a lot of undead type things.
But don't we believe the Shadow Lord is undead?
Yeah, it'd give us a little bit of a heads up for anything from the Shadow Lord.
Yeah.
So it possibly wouldn't hurt to have it up.
Just like an extra
And you
one.
don't have to concentrate when you do it
No.
as a 4th level spell.
Well, as a precaution, I don't think that it's a bad one to do.
I don't think so either.
Worst case, a good dude turns up and I'm like, hey, he's a good dude, we can talk to him. And if an evil one turns up, we'll probably know that long before that happens because we got a Drachnamar with us.
Well, mainly you'll know if an area has been dedicated to a good god or a evil god.
Well, see, I'm just not sure whether or not it'd be all that helpful.
Well, an area dedicated to a god is of interest
Okay.
because
Um,
it lets you know that someone has.
Done something in an act
Yeah.
for that god.
I'll do that. I'm just seeing if I've got another one that might tell me who might this be, but I don't think I do, so I think we'll just have to explore. So do you need me to roll to put that up?
No, that can be just done as a 4th level spell.
Yep.
Which means you have a few of those. It means that it's now going for 8 hours, no
Yep.
concentration required.
Okie dokie.
Nice.
She can heighten it to that, so.
Pretty cool.
Which means when you have the ability to do them without concentration, you can have as many of those running as you want.
It's real nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that up and running, you can tell that the area has been affected by elemental fire.
Sorry, what did you
The
say?
entire area has been consumed by elemental fire.
Oh, no.
So it just be light with the match.
So definitely the
It
Devastation
comes,
orb.
devastation orb.
it comes across to you from how you know the devastation orbs work.
Yeah.
It's the same principle whether it was a spell or the item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the party's aware that the devastation orb of fire got used on Albatia.
Oh yeah, but we never saw it happen. All we had is reports.
Ooh, that's the one that
Right,
might be worthwhile.
reports from those who delivered it.
I do have minor ethermancy,
Yeah.
which I haven't used before,
But
but
we
it
didn't
does
see it.
mean that I can manipulate. I can call out to the spirits for them to impart a brief bit of knowledge about my immediate area.
Mm-hmm.
Could I try that to see if anyone can tell me who blew up the area, or have they been blown up with the devastation orb?
I
and
mean,
it's
there is
unlikely
the
to find them?
dead. There is the dead bodies close by.
Yeah, we were going to check those out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I thought minor ethermancy might help.
Okay, so
I've never used it before.
Calling
Apparently I've had it.
calling out to the spirits, you do get a sense that a wall of fire came towards them without warning.
Okay, so-
And they basically didn't know how it happened or why it happened, and that's the last thing they remember.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, alright. See, here I was thinking I'd get something out of this, but no, it's just...
A wall of fire coming towards them is something that is not normal. And
No.
It does give you the feeling of a devastation orb or a...
wall of fire spell.
Not a wall of fire spell. A wall of fire would not do that. A wall of fire is static.
Wall of fire doesn't move.
And there are very few things that go out in a wave of fire.
Yeah,
I see, so wall of fire, or a devastation orb, or...
he's basically...
Or the equivalent magic that creates it.
Yeah,
Okay,
which is a...
which indicates
Yeah.
a very high power indeed. Because didn't we destroy the last devastation orb?
Yeah.
Was
And you're expecting
Got
at least
used.
an 8th level spell being used
Yeah,
to create that effect.
yeah.
Which means we're talking about a 16th level character.
Close to that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bigger than us. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to band together.
Yes, that's how it goes when you're an adventurer. Running solo is a bad idea.
The benefit of it being a devastation orb is the power of the person you're facing doesn't have to be as high.
Yeah.
But the fact they have access to one is scary.
Yes.
If it's the person itself who did that, that's scarier.
yeah.
Alright. I guess we'll explore the area to a degree. You guys wanted to check out the dead bodies?
Yes. Let's see what's there and what they died of. If it's not just fire.
How large is this area? Did you say mile?
The area is, looking ahead, the center of it is about a mile from the edge.
So
Okay.
we've got a mile radius.
Mile radius.
That's pretty good.
Seems to be in a perfect circle.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is,
Of which
that
two
could still be.
devastation.
Lonnie's experience, the only thing she knows is a devastation orb that can do that.
Yeah.
But magic is the thing that does that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nothing else burn in a precise circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, think about it. A stupidly powerful fireball is basically the same thing.
That's a cone.
Yeah. No, fireball's a boom.
Oh,
It's a sphere.
Yeah.
But a devastation orb is basically a single-use, whackingly powerful fireball.
And normally a rain of fire in the area.
Around.
Oh, that as well.
Mm.
Okay.
So the fact that it's
Yeah.
spread out may mean that it looked like a wall and it may just have been a rain of fire.
Yeah. Yeah. If it was designed so the fire sort of spread to
They
the
have the
middle to
same
make it
problem
look
I'm
cool.
having. I can tell.
Yeah. It
Why
basically
did no
means
one-
it's far more likely
So,
to be a devastation
If
orb than
the
just
trees
a
are
fire.
interconnected
Yeah.
and they talk to each other, why did no one tell us that the end of the road got a little kaboomed?
It might be that the trees got kaboomed so quickly they didn't get a chance to say.
Yeah, but the
And the
neighboring
other trees
trees should be able to
don't
see
know.
them.
They just know
Oh,
everything
Do the
died.
do the neighbor trees not talk to each other?
I
Do they,
don't know.
do they not have
Calcrix-
eyes? Do they not
Calcrix
look?
Calcrix walking
Is
to the
this
nearest.
area magical the same way the area behind us is?
It is not.
Because it is
So
not.
Calcrix is going to backtrack to the
tell
nearest
the others.
tree,
Hmm.
and she's going to
This yeah.
put essentially a hand on the nearest tree.
this area. Yep. Sorry, you're going to do tree things.
And she's just going to see if the nearest tree can. She's going to feely it. Just to see, is the tree aware? Does it?
It doesn't respond to you.
I'm
Okay.
talking about the people. Where are the elves if all of these trees had people in them?
Not all the trees
Not all of them had people
had
in
them.
Yeah.
The people were
The-
closer to the centre.
Where are the nearest people? Where are they?
I don't know.
Caprix is going to try another thing. She's going to stick her forehead up against the tree, and she's going to send a message to the king, saying, "All your trees got killed back here. You guys need to be careful.
Yes.
Don't come too
While
close."
she's doing that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell Liney and Dractomir, this area, it wasn't notified to the others that it was destroyed because the magic here's been destroyed as well. There's none of the arcane power you'd expect of as a result of the trees
This is
in
the
this land.
problem with high elves and their fancy dancy magic. They forget that they can just look. Crazy concept, let me tell you.
Not all high elves, I will make a point. There are some of us that are aware of such things.
You half count.
And from the feel of the ground inside the burnt area, it doesn't feel as if even the ground's alive.
That's sad.
So this is not just killed trees, this is killed ground.
He killed everything.
This is just dead.
Of life.
No life.
Yeah.
Entropic. Yeah.
You do see that there are 20 elven horsemen lying with their horses.
Right.
Their bodies look as if they have been withered to old age in an instant.
Entropic.
But not burnt.
Yeah.
But not
that's-
burned.
Do they have any heraldry?
They have the gold and grey tunics of Wendarian soldiers, and they show no signs of burn or damage.
Just
Yeah.
aged.
That has me working.
You know, Dracula was looking for a new old cloak and old shoes.
Right.
You do see that some of them are missing their tunics as well.
Okay. That's information to go to the king and the queen. Particularly the queen.
How close to the edge of the circle of burnt area? Well, virtually the troll and elk, were they in the circle?
They
Or-
were about 100 feet within the edge of the circle, looking like they were running away from the centre.
Which at that time was a really
Okay.
good idea.
Because I was trying to escape, but after the burn went through.
You think they may have had a sense of something and tried to escape it, but were not fast enough.
Yeah.
Possibly they had protection against the fire itself, but then did not escape the joy of life that was left afterwards.
Yeah.
The-
Really nasty.
The lack of magic in the trees, how far does that spread beyond the burnt area?
It doesn't spread beyond the burnt area. You get the feeling of life and magic just across the burn.
Yeah. That's where the burn is where the magic's gone.
Yep, okay. So then and yet there's one body in the burnt area that's been burnt, is it?
There is not a single body that's been burnt.
I thought you said the little body that we saw when we first came through. I thought that was...
No, you spoke to the spirits, and the spirits said that there was a wave of fire coming.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But these guys weren't affected the same way.
That's what,
No,
like,
that's
would they have the
There's
magic?
been some protection against the fire, but not against the...
Yeah.
It's also possible that they saw fire and were affected by something else.
Yes, actually, if they saw fire and just had the life pulled out of them, they wouldn't have anything more to know.
But they would presumably be burnt
Yeah, like
if they
their
were,
like
if they
their
were
bodies
affected by
would
the
be.
fire.
Yeah, but if they weren't
after.
affected by the fire, they saw the fire coming, were killed dead, and the fire didn't get to them, they didn't know they didn't die by fire.
But aren't they still within the affected
I
range?
know that, yes, they
They
are.
are affected range.
So it's
Yeah.
almost a, they would
Someone-
have to be
Something left them
dead
there.
after the fire.
Yeah.
Or it was, or it simply drained all the life out of everything, returning it to ash.
Yeah.
And,
So
and quite
it's not
possibly
actually fire.
they might have been
It
some
may,
further distance inside the area of effect.
it may have been
And they to
perceptible.
avoid the effect of the fire once.
The fire may have
But
been.
then while they were running, their life was drained.
So the thing that was you're on the edge of is they were given the image of flame, but had the life drained from the area.
That's what I.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And this is the
Because
spirit.
the sense of no life in the area
Yeah.
is generally not from fire.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
that's
This is what I was about to say. What I was sort of talking about before. The fire. Sorry, the life being burnt out of things may have looked like fire.
And there is a devastation orb that does just that.
Yeah.
It is an area of
It's-
anti-life.
It's a necrotic devastational. Yeah. Because they're all elemental. That's just rude and nasty and painful.
I would like to
And it would be
try-
perfectly in line with what the master does.
Yep.
I would like to try one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking back for it because I really need a contents or an index now. Because I have it all beautifully presented in this book, but I have to go through each one. And I'm like, I found oh, right. So, again, not sure about its applicability, you'll tell me. I'd like to try divination. Level 4. I'd like to ask a question of one of the higher powers that I serve.
Okay. So you want to ask a question about what will happen in the next 7 days?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, is that only meant to be prophetic? And would I use contact other plane if I wanted to ask a question about what happened here?
Contact out of the plane would give you more of what has been seen. Divination is about what is about to happen. So a lot of what Drazzle does is divination.
Yeah. So, there's enough divination going on here. Calcrix is basically, she just wants to contact
So
one of
that
her
would be
gods.
a ritual roll and will cost you 25 hit points.
Ooh.
Yep. Do I roll for that one?
You roll for that one.
Mhm.
Yes, I can recover those for you straight away if you've got the
If you spend 100
100
gold,
GP
yeah.
and you've got them.
Oh, 182 hit points.
Yeah, you've got
But you
you've
can
got a
get-
bunch of hit points to play with anyway.
But you'll get it back after a long rest.
If and when you feel you need to get it back.
Ooh,
for
19.
doing that.
Okay, so that is not a question about whether it goes off, it goes off.
Okay, cool.
And yes, you find yourself contacting.
So do you get to pick or do I get to pick?
Well, you can specify a specific one, but you generally only get yes, no, maybe, never, irrelevant, or unclear as the answers. Unless someone else answers otherwise.
Well, she's gonna, because this looks like the master's work, and she believes the mistress, the Queen of Darkness, Mistress Nyx, is the most familiar with that. She's trying for Mistress Nyx, but if she ends up with the Great One, or I don't know, one of the half a dozen other ones, I'm pretty sure she can't get Bahamut or Tiamat. So, you know, as long as it's one of the ones she's familiar with, she's happy.
You accidentally get IO.
Yeah, it could be
Possibly,
Io.
but I don't need to get it
I'm
right.
pretty sure I can't get Io because Ka sacrificed Io for something or another.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I can't get anyone but my brother.
But
In terms of the dragon gods, and Mistress, the Lady of Shadows may answer.
even though she's not quite.
So you get to make an intelligence saving throw now that you have reached out.
That's a D20.
It is a D20.
Ooh, 16. It's not as good as a 19. 16 plus 7 is 23.
Which means you don't suffer the penalty of contacting the outer planes.
I don't know what that means.
Basically, you take 66 psychic damage if you don't make a DC 15.
So I do know what that
It
is.
is
That,
so brain bending that
yeah, I know
Not
I take that risk every time I do it, but
yes,
it's a risk that
sometimes worth doing.
Calcrix wants to know if this is the master or not, if she could possibly figure that out.
Yeah.
She knows she might not get that answer, but
Yes.
that's
Okay, so you want to get
Indication sort of
five
as that.
questions. What's the first question?
well, because it's yes, no, or unclear. She's just going to say the devastation that I'm standing amongst. Hopefully, that's specific enough. Was this the master?
Answer is no.
I guess that's good, but also bad because that means that's unknown.
Yeah, well, it could have been somebody else using one of Master's weapons.
Yeah, I should have worded that in a way of
Yeah.
can this be connected to the master in any way?
Is the weapon used for this?
But that would have
Master's
given
origin.
you a little bit of an unclear direction of where to go, at least. At least
Yeah.
you know for sure that this destruction wasn't an action called by the master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The master didn't directly do this.
Yeah, the Master wasn't here at the time, which is useful info.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yes, no,
That's
sorry.
always-
Others can suggest questions.
Sure. Does anyone
So-
want to suggest?
While you suggest questions, I'll go to the toilet and give you a chance to actually suggest.
Yep. And he monitors apparently and figures out how much people talk, which made me very self-conscious last time.
So,
Remember that we're heading into an area that is currently in conflict with 5 undead lords.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Shadow Lord, but yeah.
you can.
So the concept of one of them using a necrotic devastation orb,
Yeah.
Yes.
or having access to a necrotic devastation orb.
So
is
are
certainly
you
usable.
suggesting
Oh,
that
yeah.
the yes/no question next one should be was this the Shadow Lord?
Was this caused or directed
Okay.
by the Shadow Lord and his forces?
Yeah.
And then, does the Shadow Lord have access to more of these? Well,
Yeah.
whoever it
Yeah,
was,
that's-
do they have access to
To
more
more.
of these things?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, it is.
So that's two
The other
more.
question that would be useful to know that I wouldn't be suggesting using divination for, but
Yeah.
what was here? What was hit?
What was worth attacking? Yes.
That's a good
Aside from
Gotta
the
ask
pathway
yes.
of the elf,
So
Yeah,
just keep
it's-
in mind it's
it's
got to be
given by
yes,
the-
no,
by the-
Wait a
maybe.
minute, Jeremy. It's got to be a yes/no question.
So I
as-
can't say what was it.
okay, this is not the divination. This is a
Yeah.
question that we can
Yeah.
probably work out from
Yeah.
our knowledge of the maps of the area. Well, there's not many good maps of Wendar.
Yeah.
But we can find out from if we can if there's currently an orc living in a tree that's
Yeah.
like a mile back that way.
So you're suggesting
Like
outside
a couple
of.
miles down the road. Yeah, this is not the divination
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
So the first question was, I'm just clarifying this.
Mhm.
I'm not putting that to you just yet. So the first question was, is this Shadow Lord? Second question was, do they have more?
First question, was this the master?
Yeah.
No,
So,
no.
oh no, she's
Out of
asking.
our 4 left,
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
confirming
Yeah.
with the group
Yeah.
what we have decided so far.
I agree to the
The
one you just said.
Shadow Lord,
is this
do
Shadow
they have
Lord.
more?
Yeah, those are 2.
So that gives us 2 left. Maybe we should ask those 2 questions first and then
then
decide
go
on
from
the
there?
next 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the next question would be, was this done by the Shadow Lord and or his forces? The Shadow Lord, I don't think I can do an and or, so I'll just, the Shadow Lord and his forces.
which might get me a very ambiguous yes, and it might be his forces rather than just him. But
Well, I mean, but by his forces, whether it was him that actually deployed it or a lieutenant, the result is the
Well,
same.
realistically, in terms of the
Was
lore, like his forces should be acting according to his will. Whether or not he
Was it-
knows about it is a different thing entirely.
Yeah.
But no matter what, the responsibility does fall onto him.
Was this act directly from the Dark Lord's orders?
Shadow Lord's orders. Yes.
Or the Shadow
yeah.
Lord's orders?
Yeah,
So it doesn't
that's-
matter where he
that's
was at the time.
the question.
With Paul
You
Sorry, I
do
didn't get to
get
finish
a-
your muesli bar.
You do get yes.
Right. Do they have more of these devastation orbs?
No.
Of
You
any
don't like to see
devastation.
all devastation orbs.
Do they have more of this?
Have they got the capability to repeat the effect?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, ability to repeat the effect is a good way.
Hopefully the GM knows. Ariadne
Okay,
are not
so-
good with wordies.
All good. You actually get a sentence this time.
Oh.
Basically saying that he currently does not, but he will gain the capability soon through negotiation with Alphatio.
Do we have the capacity to stop him? Is that a question you guys would be happy with me asking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so question number 4 is: do we, our group, have the capacity to stop him?
And you get another sentence. Calcrix is currently positioned to do so.
Ooh, Calcrick's fix.
And this is Calcrix just inside head.
Well, you got one last question.
The problem, of course, from our perspective is it's not saying which Calcrix, and it's not saying whether Calcrix can stop the Dread Lord or stop the Dread Lord getting access to the next devastation.
Calcrix is talking all over Dracula right now and going, don't you dare say there's more than one Calcrix. There is only one Calcrix. Calcrix is not Drezel. There is only one Calcrix. She knows it. She has to be in both groups. She remembers both groups. There's no more than one Calcrix.
There's only one Calcrix.
Or Calcrix's player is going to murder her husband.
There's only one Calcrix, and it's not her. Sorry.
Considering Calcrix is in multiple places at the same time.
Yeah, no, I know. That's just me. It's just me having a little
Brain melt.
brain meltdown.
And like I said, the other aspect was that you don't actually know whether the answer was Calcrix could stop the Dark Lord, or the Shadow Lord, or whether Calcrix could stop the Shadow Lord getting another devastation.
No.
It was unclear.
It was unclear.
That's right, the question did not specify either way.
Yeah, and I've only got one more question left, and I'm trying to figure out how best to use that.
Are you sure? Yes.
She kind of wants to say how.
Do you always answer the truth? Yes.
But she knows asking how is not a good question. That if she's going to do this, she'll just find a way, and that way will happen. But I guess what she does want to know is, and this is just the player thinking out loud of trying how to think about how to ask the question, because I'm not guaranteed to get a sentence, but I have a feeling this is the Queen of Darkness, which is the only reason I've gotten sentences, or my brother, because they're the only two people who would give me full sentences in this circumstance. Unless Martin really wants to mess with me, in which case there'll be a third party that I don't know about.
There's always someone else.
It's always Bahamut. Because apparently Calcrix has chosen her destiny not to be Tiamat's avatar, but she's not out of range of Bahamut's avatar. So yeah, the question I guess I want to know is, or the question I want to figure out how to ask to get the information of is, what sort of, how can we how can we get the most out of? How can I get the most out of my last question?
That's a good question. Huh. Is this a good question to ask? No.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
But no,
I'm trying to think.
I'm not. Yeah. Like pained a bit.
Do we have the information we need in order to safely negotiate with the Shadow Lord?
I guess what she
That's
wants
the
to know is
thing.
there more information? So what did you say? Do we have the information?
Do we have enough information to safely negotiate a peace between the elves and the Shadow Lord? Is kind of like my general overview.
Yeah,
I don't know how to question
she
it
wants
directly.
to try and negotiate a peace.
Yeah.
So I guess she kind of wants to ask a two-ended question, which is probably not allowed, which is, do we have enough information to negotiate a peace, and if not, well, I guess if the answer is no, then we've got to look for more information.
Yeah.
The answer is yes, well then we just got to go look for the Shadow Lord.
So
Otherwise-
that might be a last question that we ask then, and then
That's
see if
all
it's a
we've got.
yes no, or if you get lucky with a third sentence. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I cannot think of anything that would be useful to ask right now.
Okay, so
It hasn't
what's your
already been
question?
tried.
She kind of wants to ask two. One is, do we have enough
I think if you just go with
to
that,
negotiate
the answer will give you what you need.
negotiate a treaty between the Shadow Lord and the elves, and please bless me. Can you bless me on my journey, because I think I'm going to need all the blessings I can get. But we're just going to ask the first half because we know the
Okay.
rules.
So, you get a sentence back.
Another,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
You get, no, you need to find out why he has angered me first.
Oh,
Need to find out why he, the
angered
king,
me.
has angered the Lady of Vengeance first.
You don't hear anything further.
You didn't find. Oh, sorry.
What does Calcrix feel though?
Well,
Do I have to roll like a perception thing or an insight?
you would assume it is related to why either the Shadow Lord has been angered, but because you called the upper powers, you assume you may have contacted the Lady of Vengeance.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was it.
Yeah.
And that's
in
why.
most cases, they only give you a sentence if a yes or no answer is misleading.
I see. Okay.
Basically, they will go out of the way not to mislead you or simplify it to a yes, no, maybe, irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there were circumstances, but limited, and I knew. I haven't done this in a long time, so I'm like, I know I have to stay in the rules.
And most of the time you do a ceremony where you will contact them as a ritual
She does. usually.
instead of just as the pure contact out of plane. Contact out of plane will get you a quick response
Yeah.
as long as you stick within the rules.
Yeah. Well, usually when she does do contact out of plane, she does the 10-minute ritual, but she.
Oh, this was a 10-minute ritual, but it wasn't to a specific person.
Yeah. Well,
It was opening it up to give you answers.
yeah, she wasn't sure who to ask in this scenario, and that's why she left it open. It's very rare she leaves it open because she knows Ixion could answer the call and burn her brain.
Well, no, Ixion can't do that. He has to follow the rules as well.
Does he?
It's if you were to contact Ixion directly, that's where you have the chance of your brain burning.
Well, you see, she thought that she was worried about that. She just,
That's where you have the intelligence check. If you did the intelligence check and failed, your brain would be burned, no matter who you spoke to.
oh, I see. Okay.
So, with the answer of no, you need to find out why he has angered me first, Calcrix believes that you've contacted the Lady of Vengeance.
Yes, and I that's why I guess I'm asking Martin whether or not it's a self-reflection insight roll or not. Or, does Calcrix feel that he, in this case, is the king?
You do believe it is the king.
Okay. I gotta go back and talk to the boring man.
You
So
don't believe,
Calcrix
you don't
comes.
believe the answer's there.
Oh, okay. Maybe I've got to go back and talk to the Queen.
I
Or
don't
I've
think
got to
it's.
talk to other peoples.
I think it's going to
Yeah.
go forward to talk to other people.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going back.
It's
The elf would not know what he did wrong, even if you hit him with a 2x4.
So
We've-
I need to go directly to the Lady of Vengeance and say, what the hell did he do?
There would be. You believe that Denagath has knowledge.
Okay. And that's where we're
Yeah.
heading anyway.
You are on the edge of it.
yeah.
Okay.
There's also possibly talking to one of her clerics.
Because the mountain range represents the
The border.
separation between Wendar and Denagath.
So
Right.
can I just go back over those answers again?
Mhm.
When I asked, did they have the resources to do this again? The answer was no, but they can get them depending on a contract with
I'll get them again
Alphasia.
soon.
Yeah, they can obtain
Was-
them for Alphasia.
Was
Yeah.
that answer given as if that was the Lady of Vengeance can get another orb, or the Shadow Lord?
The
Like, there's
answer
two
was in the
different-
representation of you speaking about can the Shadow Lord
Yeah,
It was
get
asking.
Right.
It
Yeah,
was not
right.
about whether she can get it,
Okay.
it's about whether the Shadow Lord can get it.
Yeah.
So, I'm just trying to extrapolate the information from this, in the sense of we've got the Shadow Lord, the Lady of Vengeance, and Boring King.
Mhm.
We think the Shadow Lord is the one who dropped the orb onto here. We think he's working for the Lady of Vengeance.
Mhm.
And we're going to go to Denagath to hopefully get the rest of the story about what the Boring King did to the Lady of Vengeance, that is called the Shadow Lord, to drop a devastation bomb here.
Mhm.
Okay, alright, as long as I've figured that out right.
Yep.
That sounds right.
I will tell all of you the results of my ritual,
Excellent.
and that I believe I've had first contact with Lady of Vengeance. That she is a dragon, if you guys didn't know that already, because I don't know if that information got left off.
Would be known. I mean,
She's not a well-known god.
Even for I guess we wouldn't necessarily know that that was her symbol unless we did a religion check.
Unless you do a religion check, and even then, it would be a hard religion check for most people.
Yeah.
It's only known in the dragon pantheon.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Right.
Lonnie may not even
So
know that.
I
So-
might get it.
Mhm.
Plus, I've got good
Yeah, you.
checks with that sort of thing.
Lua will get it.
So as a
So if you ask the question, I can
character,
have a think.
As a character, Lonnie knows nothing.
no, as a character, Calcrix is now telling you. I
Yeah.
think this is the Lady of Vengeance. I don't
Right.
think she did this directly. I think the Shadow Lord did this on part of her. The Shadow Lady of Vengeance is a dragon. She's a wyvern. She.
You don't know if she's a wyvern.
Well,
or not.
okay, I believe
Yeah.
The
she.
symbol of the Shadow Lord is a red wyvern.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm getting these confused.
I'm just confirming these things so you don't go down the
Yeah.
wrong path.
Okay, so
The character might think that the player will know it.
Yeah.
the Calcrix does know. The player keeps getting it confused for Calcrix.
Yeah.
So Calcrix explains that the red wyvern is the Shadow Lord. The black dragon that's on her little coffee thing, she thinks represents the Lady of Vengeance.
Its her symbol is a silhouette of a dragon from above.
Right.
Is the symbol of the Lady of Vengeance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that the Shadow Lord doesn't have more devastation orbs yet, but is in the middle of negotiating that with Alphasia, who of course want to destroy everyone. So I
Or
believe
has
the best way to figure this out is to get the rest of the story. You guys as players heard the
Just
information.
so you can see that
I've
is
passed it
the
on as a
symbol
character.
of
That's cool.
I can't
Yeah.
see it.
I will show you later.
Okay.
Yes, my religion skill has Immortals as a specialisation.
I also have
And
an advantage on
useful
religion
thing.
checks now because
So-
I've done something.
The other names of her is Lady of Spite, Protector of Evil Dragonkind, and Protector of Humanoids.
Protector of humanoids.
Mhm.
Interesting.
As in goblins,
Yeah.
bugbears,
Those rejected by
gnolls.
society.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it lucky that Calcrix has sought Martin's permission that underneath the Mount Dread she actually has rejected races down there? She gives refuge to everyone.
And the amusing thing is, Calcrix has taken on aspects of each of her siblings.
Which is very funny.
Yes.
I don't have red or green yet.
Yeah.
So, if Celtics has been inviting gnolls onto the border of Karabikos,
Yeah.
you're not on the very sure that's not known.
Calcrix has a number of, and this is just all what characters may know, is that she invites any rejected species that is in fear for its life to live peaceably amongst the rest of her kind. They cause any problems on her land, then they are escorted off her land. But if they're happy to just either live as hermits or to farm with the rest of them, they're allowed to live.
What you're saying is that
Off the land or
Celtics is
off your land?
like I said, I don't know if the gnolls involved, but Celtics is inviting gnolls, and when she gets tired of them, she'll expel them from her land to report it to Karabikos.
No, that is not what she's saying. She's just saying if they're violent and so on, they will be expelled.
Just a little jump to the left.
I don't know. I know that Martin's given me a rundown of all the rejected races. And I know that a lot of them are very rare, but he said because the master is enslaving a lot of those kind of races, yes, I would have most of them turn up.
Yeah.
I know
Anyway, I
gnolls
think
are
that's
evil, but
a
I've always
little
wanted
detail right
to
now
play
because
with
it's
characters.
important. Dracula is actually recognising that, well, hey, we're not going to be sticking to the road anymore, so it doesn't matter if we get off the road.
Yeah.
Doing a search around the area, like still within the forest, trying to find the closest settlement with the intent of seeing if there's any survivors or information, people who know what sort of happened, but also ask, what is it that was located a mile from the edge? Like, what was the target of the devastation orb?
What was the
Okay,
centre
so
of it?
after a couple of hours, you managed to find one of the remote settlements in the area.
Okay.
Basically saying that in the center of where that was where two of the trees met with a outpost. It was basically where the end of the road happened.
It's the end of the road. Sorry.
And basically, the connection points were where the trees had actually come down to the road itself.
Right. So
One
it
of
was
the few places where the trees touched the ground.
Right. So it was a point of power.
And also possibly a point at which they couldn't get the devastation orb any closer to the Elven Well. So put it on the edge.
It could
You
also
cut the
be.
border in a mile,
Well, it would
get
weaken
another
it.
one, cut the border in a mile.
It would weaken it as well because this is a strong point. Destroy a strong point. Everything else is now weakened.
It was
The-
also the edge of what was considered Wendar.
And it could also
Yeah.
be how they can get onto the road now.
Yeah. It was that weakening would allow that.
They might have wanted to get onto this road, and it was one of the ways you could do it.
Yeah.
Most of the other borders of Wendar, they say, are patrolled, but they've never had to patrol the outpost because basically it could not be seen from the outside.
Oh.
So that means
So-
Calcrix has to headbutt a tree again and pass on a message to the king.
Yeah,
He won't
potentially.
headbutt it.
But that would be the funny way.
But she doesn't even know. She just knows that the king communicates through the trees, and she's like, look, if he doesn't get the message, he doesn't. But if he does, this will be helpful.
I'm gonna find that so funny if it's just more of a figurative thing, and that he communicates through the elves that live in the trees and not through the actual trees themselves. Because that'd be so funny.
God, won't it be funny when we get back and we come across the boring king, and he's just like, I'll try not to be boring this time, but only because you sent me messages and I found them helpful. Thank you.
Or something like that, yeah.
Well, they all happen in his dreams. I can send him a sending if.
Though he only gets messages from Calcrix when she's intending on him hearing stuff, because otherwise he can't hear her at all.
Yeah,
that's why she presses her head against it and intentionally passes on this information.
Yeah.
And she keeps it like a sending of 25 words or less, basically.
Because there is a heightened version of detect thoughts that will tell you thoughts of individuals within the nation.
Yeah.
With the next one going out to region. So you can actually detect thoughts of someone within the same region as you.
She's just wanting to leave him a warning.
Version.
Very
high level.
It is a very high level version. The king just doesn't do that though. He just does the nation.
He doesn't. Yeah.
She also wonders that if she sticks her head up against one of those trees and go, "Can someone please tell the more sensible queen that we're progressing in our task of resolving this issue."
And this is where you find out the king did that.
Yeah.
Because he's boring, but he's not dumb.
And he would most likely pass on verbatim.
He would be exactly verbatim.
She actually respects the king. She's already explained it to people a lot.
Well, hey, I don't mind having an OCD person who people don't like, but they respect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't even go so far as Calcrix doesn't.
Originally, they didn't like him because of the way he spoke to them.
She
at the
didn't
time.
like being treated badly. She did not like that at all.
Well, that's fair. Yeah. Claw doesn't mind him. Wouldn't want to socialise with him.
Well, he doesn't seem to know how to talk to non-high elves.
Well,
because he just doesn't.
There's that as well. But even if I was a Wendar high elf, I wouldn't want to chat with the guy.
So
I'd flirt with his wife, but I wouldn't want to chat with him.
You're saying just over that ridge is Denner?
The ridge represents the border of Denagath. And in most cases, it is considered Denagath as soon as you step onto the ridge.
Okay, so we're heading into Denagath as per instructed by...
Thing.
And you notice that the tree, in comparison of being close to 300-400 feet in height, here they range from 20 to 30 feet.
So, non-high elf.
A normal forest.
Tree.
And basically no longer in a pattern.
Yep. It's
chaos.
It's just woodland.
Does the local folks that we found, do they confirm that the outpost there was a sentry permanently located at the outpost, i.e. about 20 people?
Yes, they say that they had a mounted troops of about 20 elves would normally man it at all times.
The group that we found drained of life?
Well, things like that. So then, we've probably got two main options at that point then is, I'm going to go straight through the devastated area to get to Denninghart, or the section towards way, or do we want to go around the head? It's not like we're going to skip the path anymore. And then also, if we are heading into the neurotic area, which I'm assuming doesn't necessarily have the sense of necrotic energy still lingering.
It has no sense of any energy in the area.
We've been running around it already.
Yeah, we've been moving into it. We've already walked on it. We've stood on it and gone, oh shit.
Okay.
It's just totally
during my time spent with Dead with the...
in a way, Caprix already has. And the bodies don't seem to have tongues.
Right.
that dinner could still work with that dinner too. He can speak with James with the Greystone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to read the fun, but he can speak with James with the painting of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Still
No
not
one
sure what you're
objects to
saying.
you trying, but you'll
Oh,
probably
don't-
end up getting the same answer I did, which was
Yeah.
there was a lot of fire, it came really fast, we don't know what happened.
So, Dracula speaks with the spirit, not with the dead.
Mhm.
So it's slightly different. It's the same spell, but you don't actually use the body. Most of the people speak to the body without the spirit.
Which is
Whereas
why it can't lie.
My spell was speak
Yeah.
with spirit anyway, so
That
it
was
was
why
exactly the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's something like that. Before I was just asking whether or not we want to try and do anything, because like when you were first talking to him, I was under the impression there was actually a body on the edge that had been carved on fire that you were talking to.
No, it was just
and
the
then-
spirits generally that were left over in the area,
Yeah.
Right, okay.
which would have been those 20.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So my vote would be to just head as directly as we can into Denagath.
But the question I have then
Yep.
is, okay, so curious that it's almost all like a wall of fire. Presumably they were located at the centre of the blast,
Yeah.
but they did manage to run, well,
They got a
almost a mile,
sense. Yeah.
or ride almost a mile, so they had time to get on there now and gallop away before actually dying.
Yeah.
So
it took some time.
it feels odd that they didn't have any more knowledge or information if it was those who you thought that, as opposed to someone who just happened to be in the area and go, oh my god, look at that one.
Well, Calcrick's also only got a brief moment from their
Your-
memories, not their entire memories.
Welcome to try again.
Yeah. I think also that these are, presumably, if we can make it clear to them that we're here to try and eliminate the cause of their death, then hope that they should be fairly helpful, in which case it's not just yes or no answers or things like that, it's purely that they will provide the information as far as they know.
I'm getting from Jeremy that he wants to do this, and I'm happy for him.
I'm getting the fact that I don't know whether they're going to go out of it.
That's fine.
It might be.
You guys let me try shit all the time, and I don't know if we're going to get anything out of it. I'm just as willing to do the same.
If you're willing to try something,
It doesn't cost or have even attempted anyway.
Yeah.
It is-
Anyway.
It is an overwhelming yes from this side of the room.
yeah, if you want to do it, go for it. Either it's not going to do anything, or it's going to give us useful info.
Don't take this wrong way, but I am going to nick off to the bathroom really quickly, but that's only because I can't hold on anymore. Not because I don't want to hear the answer.
Okay. So are you going to cast it as a ritual?
No, he gets to say effectively free casting as a spell every day.
Okay.
As a class ability.
That's pretty cool.
And mental guidance.
Yeah.
He's very cool sign of faith.
Yeah. He's a spirit talker.
Automatically gets speak with dead prepared every day and gets the free casting every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can now ask 5 questions.
Well, speaking in Elvish, Captain will ask, what happened? How did you die?
Okay, so it starts off with a bit of a story. Basically saying that there was a premonition of an attack, and looking, they sensed something they could not stop. So, trying to hit it with their arrows was unsuccessful, as not an arrow landed. they chose to retreat instead of face whatever wrath it had.
Sounds fair.
And it reached the barrier of their lands, and a wall of black flame came towards them. And as it went through where they were running, they felt the life leave them.
Yeah. So definitely the appearance of fire without being actual fire.
But they had the sense of all life dying around them.
Yeah.
In the few weeks before your death,
Hell of a way for it.
what has been, what was the order like? Had it been in the sense of quiet or?
In the weeks before the death, they have been doing constant patrols against the forces of Denagath, who have penetrated other parts of the forest but gotten lost to the magic of the forest.
Cool.
The only places where the magic doesn't hide them is the path, and they haven't been able to get on the path. One not invited to walk the path cannot enter it.
Fair.
And the king controls who is invited to the path.
Right.
Do you have knowledge or understanding of the land in which you patrol immediately beyond the border of Wendar?
There's a path leading up from where the outpost was up into the hills that branches in two different directions. They have patrolled up to the branch but rarely past it because at that point they are too far away to be supported by Wendar. Returning down the path and reaching the forest is difficult but doable if you don't go past the branch.
Yeah.
What types of forces does Denegar present?
Various forms of dragon kind.
Oh. Fun.
I'm me counting, but I figure that's probably about what it's going to get really.
Mainly black dragons. Who have the power of the necrotic or psychic breaths.
Yeah.
Do you have any connection between Denegar and Albatia?
They say there is none.
Okay.
Denagath has no connection to Alphatia. But it would make a great ally if Alphatia wished to attack Lantry through Wendar.
Yeah, especially if Wendar is no longer a threat.
Thank you for your time. Go to your rest.
Yes.
May you live longer than we did.
To some people, that's a curse.
We will aim to avenge you.
Yes, on the other hand, from an elf to a human, that's not bad.
Well, he did speak to it in Elvish.
Yeah.
So did we get good news or bad news?
We got a little bit of information, which was pretty good.
We got useful news.
Useful news?
Yes.
What kind of news?
Which means bad, but we can use it.
Okay. How bad is the news?
One of the things we really want to do is make sure that they don't actually ally with Thaisha, because if
Thaisha or Alpha?
Alphatia.
Alphatia?
If Denegar allies with them, then Alphatia can attack Glantry through Wendar.
No fear of that. They're going to
And
become
that's
allies with
bad.
Calcrix.
Well,
no,
okay.
I'm joking.
Our reaction
Yep.
to things and what we do
Yep.
is hopefully going to change this effect.
Yes.
Because the only reason Denagath would have to get anything from Alphasia is if they're wanting to open another attack route to Galantry.
Right.
Because they have forces above Denagath.
Mm.
Technically associated countries.
And they're busy doing other things if Denagath is not worth talking to.
So, Alphatia won't bother themselves with Denagath, or Denagath won't bother themselves with Alphatia, if we can figure out a way for them, for Denagath to peacefully get what they want from Wendar.
Yeah,
Well,
that's about right.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Denagath has got no particular reason to
Along with
try and form a
that,
treaty with Alphasia
Okay,
under normal circumstances.
which case,
Alphasia would certainly want to talk to Denagath because it gives them a close foothold to Wendar.
Calcrix is going to make best friends with Denagath, and
Denigrate.
Denagath.
Apparently full of black dragon kind.
Of course.
That's fine. She can just emphasize the black that's in her scales.
right?
Eep is always happy to pull out the black magic marker whenever it has to be done. And will even invite other people to join in if she needs to. But I guess that means when we go into Denagath, we have to go in with a mind to negotiation and compromise rather than you really shouldn't be using devastation orbs, even though that's really what we want to do.
Well, they also got from one of them a story that there was a being who they tried to stop what was more powerful than them, who reached the edges of the forest and caused that effect. Not an actual orb of devastation.
Okay, so it may be an
Okay.
accident. Or
Despite the
unintended.
fact that the,
Did they-
the
I mean, they didn't give
the
much
arrows
detail.
and weapons bounced off it, or in fact, it didn't get close enough to actually hit.
And if it did have a devastation orb, they never saw it, but it was black flame coming towards them.
Black flame.
Can Calcrix do a...
So it was still flame, but it wasn't red.
Mm-hmm.
Can she do like either a memory check, history check, or a religion check? I don't know what it falls under. But for some reason, black flame coming towards them sounds really familiar to her.
Well, the halflings have an artifact called the Black Flame, but it's not necromantic.
Right.
So it is definitely something that undead will avoid.
So yeah, if that's sounding really familiar to her, how would she bring that to mind? Would that be...
The fact that it drained life meant it's not the same thing as the halflings.
No, I think
The
I've heard
term
about
black
this.
flame will memories, but as soon as you think about the black flame you do of, it's definitely not the
No,
same thing.
this may
Yeah.
not be the black flame I know of.
It's not the Black
I
Flame.
no, sorry. What I'm trying to tell all of you guys is I'm not thinking of the halfling thing. I'm thinking I've spent a lot of time with Zal in the necromancy world, so I know a lot of that, and I've also spent a lot of time in Lady of Darkness's realm. We've also been through to the vampire place, and somewhere in all of my walkings, but for the lack of that, I've got 3 different journals to go through, and I don't want to make you guys wait half an hour while I go through them. The black flame sounds really familiar to me as something that I've heard of in one of my checks.
Generally an entropic flame.
Okay, so is it a spell effect or an artifact effect?
Elemental effect.
It
right?
could be a mixture of all 3.
Okay.
That it can be done via artifacts, it can be done via spells, and it can be done via abilities.
Right.
And
And as we get closer to the, like if we go to the point of the outpost, we may get a better understanding, because at the moment, from what we can see, it looked like a perfect sphere in a mile radius, but based upon the description from the people in the outpost,
Yeah.
This
It
sounds.
appeared to be started from an individual who reached the outpost, and so therefore they find it's actually more of a heavy circle
This sounds just
that's
really
spread out
familiar
from
to
him,
me. That's why I'm
rather than being
asking.
a circle all around whatever it was that actually started it.
Yeah.
But possibly, if you want to have time to look through your 3 journals, we can discuss it next session.
I was just asking Martin in terms of, I know he lets players do memory checks and things like that sometimes, and gives them access to things they're likely to remember. And I'm just asking him, is this something that he remembers?
This is where the GM's memory is not remembering the reference.
Okay, so you don't even remember. That's all I'm asking. I'm like, do you remember? Because you usually have.
I usually
idea.
do, but I've also not
that's
doing
fine.
as well today.
Yeah, I was just checking because you might go, oh well, that was in Friday's group, or no, you're remembering a session you overheard that Wednesday group did 34 years ago, and it's not relevant here. In which case, my brain's like, okay, that's where I this sounds familiar from. It's not relevant to this group.
Necromantic Flame has been used in other sessions.
Yeah.
And it does relate to what the Master uses.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have and this is probably.
And he has had some of his effects happen at the start of each of the game years that have been similar to this.
That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking Friday group possibly at the start of one of those big combats we had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be why I think it might be in one of my journals somewhere.
But it's more of a veil of blackness than it is a black flame.
Yeah. Okay. This would be a Shadow Lord, I'd be guessing. It sounds to me what a Shadow Lord probably appears like.
Okay, so I think that would be a good point for us to stop, as in case Calcrix looks something up in the future. And then next session can start with either you recapping what had been remembered.
Yep.
Or going up the path.
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Or both. Probably both.
With the well, the path going up.
On the other side, the path might still be there quite come forward.
You can see it in the mountain, in the ridges and mountains in front, a path going upwards from where you are.
Oh, okay, yep. Yeah. Cool.
Whether it's within the mile or not.
Yeah.
That will determine next session. Did you want to add anything else before I go to end credits?
Good for me.
Okay.